Today, Homeworthy visits a series of maximalist homes filled with bold color, layered pattern, and strong personal style. In Southern California, Justina Blakeney invites us into her soulful Spanish-style retreat where whimsical details and meaningful objects reflect her creative world.
It was this courtyard that sort of fulfilled my dream of having a home like this, because ever since I was a little girl, I always dreamed about having a home that surrounded an exterior courtyard. And so when I saw that this house did that, I was like, this is it. This is our place.
In Birmingham, Alabama, floral designer Mary Cox Brown welcomes us into her newly transformed home, filled with vibrant hues, vintage treasures, and joyful energy.
These curtains were in my existing living room. I actually bought them from a designer who was moving spaces, and they survived the tree falling on my house. And so I knew I wanted to put them back because I love them, but also because they kind of tell a story.
And in Santa Fe, New Mexico, Heather and Matt French open the doors to their reimagined 1950s house, blending construction expertise with fearless design to create a richly layered family home.
One of my favorite things to drink my morning coffee out of is this Kit Kemp's Wedgwood collection. We love Kit Kemp.
It's called Mythical Creatures. It's really cute and hand painted and folky, which is something that we like to keep in mind as we're collecting things.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. For the past 6 years, Homeworthy has taken you inside some of the most extraordinary homes around the world. And today I'm thrilled to share that we're partnering with Kbiz to be their official media partner for Kbiz 2026. The largest North American trade show for the kitchen and bath industry, Kbiz is where innovation launches, ideas take shape, and where the future of how we live at home is defined. And for the first time ever, we're launching the Homeworthy and Kbiz Live Studio. It's a broadcast quality media hub right in the center of the show. At Kbiz 2026, Homeworthy isn't just covering the show. We're opening the doors and bringing you inside to experience the ideas and technologies shaping the future of our homes. Today, we're welcomed into the beautiful Southern California home of Justina Blakeney, a creative force and founder of the lifestyle brand Jungalow. From the moment Justina stepped inside this 1930s Spanish-style home, she felt a deep, almost spiritual connection to the space and its effortless flow to the outdoors.
It was this courtyard that sort of fulfilled my dream of having a home like this, because ever since I was a little girl, I always dreamed about having a home that surrounded an exterior courtyard. And so when I saw that this house did that, I was like, this is it. This is our place.
Inside, color and patterns strike a beautiful balance. There's humor here, a sense of whimsy there, and layers of treasures woven throughout, giving the home its soulful feel.
I've got all these unique vessels, and many of them have faces, and I've collected vessels with faces for almost 20 years. And I call them vessels with personality. And it's so funny because it's just been something that ever since I was little, I was very drawn to. It just makes me smile and it makes me laugh. And I think that humor is such an underrated part of design. And I really love to add pieces that make you smile and like make you wonder and make you feel curious and that have a sense of wonder to it. And it's a little bit of whimsy.
And beyond her walls, Justina continues to nurture creativity. She co-created Grow, a guide for passion, purpose, and peace, alongside her mother, a Harvard-trained developmental psychologist. To watch Justina's episode ad-free, scan the QR code on screen or visit homeworthyplus.com for access to all of our latest episodes ad-free and to receive other exclusive membership perks.
What's up, Homeworthy? I'm Justina. Welcome to my home in California. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. I'm Allison Kenworthy, the founder of Homeworthy, and we take you inside the world's most beautifully decorated homes and introduce you to the brilliant people who live there.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Liz Lang. Welcome to Grey Gardens.
Click the join button below to access all of our latest episodes ad-free and watch extended cuts of this and other homes, opening the doors to new rooms and exclusive content featuring our beloved hosts.
I can't wait to see. I'm so excited.
And if you're looking to shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy tastemakers, be sure to use the product links below or scan the QR code on screen to find fabulous furniture, coffee table books, and accessories that can transform your house into a home.
What's up? I'm Justina Blakeney. I'm an author, a designer, an artist, and the founder of Jungalow. Welcome to my home in Altadena. When I stepped into this home for the first time, I gasped. Something about this room felt like a holy place, a spiritual place. There was something about it that felt like a temple or a church to me. The conversation between the indoors and the outdoors in this space was just palpable from the first moment I walked in, because you can see right through to the outside. And of course, this home is surrounded by these glorious trees. We have oak trees and olive trees and eucalyptus trees and maple trees, and something about the way that it felt protected and nestled into the mountain here in the foothills felt safe and beautiful. We are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the fires here in LA, the Eaton fire and the Palisades fire. We are in Altadena here, so we were affected by the Eaton Canyon fire. We were displaced for almost 8 months from our home, and in fact, this is the first home tour we're giving since we've been back from the fires, and we had to get rid of everything that was porous in our home. So everything that was, all of our furniture that was upholstered, blankets, towels, clothing, like we really had to get rid of all of it because of smoke damage. And because Eaton fire wasn't really a wildfire, it was like the things that burned were houses and household items and cars and things like this. So the material that was burned was very, very toxic. We are still in the throes of dealing with things like insurance and toxic testing and cleanups, and it's been really hard, honestly. And also I have to acknowledge that, our house didn't burn down, and I feel extraordinarily lucky that the winds that day, for whatever reason, spared our home. And, there were, I think, 6,000 structures here in Altadena that did burn down, and it's a small town. So many people lost everything that day. It's been a traumatic year. It's been a hard year. And I'm just grateful for the community that came together to help everybody who had such and still are having such a difficult time. Welcome to our living room. When we first entered into this house, it was pretty dark. There were actually no lights at all. In fact, the first night we spent here, it was pitch black. Went to turn on the lights and we're like, wait, there are no lights. I guess the previous owners just had floor lamps and other lamps around. So we went through a big overhaul in this space, especially to invite the light in. So we had 6 Velux skylights put in, which made a huge difference in the natural light in the space. And then of course we had other lighting put in as well. We installed these bookshelves, these built-in bookshelves all the way to the ceiling to have a place to show off all my collections and our books. We've got our art books displayed here. And of course we painted. But besides that, this room was pretty much already just so beautiful and so inviting and so warm. So we just added a little bit of flavor to it. I also had fun hand painting this like banister thing. At first we were like, should we leave these? Should we take it out? And I was like, I want to leave them, but I kind of want to add a little bit of something fun to them. So I painted them over a few months. On our mantle, we have collected shells and rocks and crystals from beaches and mountains from all over the world from our travels. And this is something that's really special to me and very sentimental. Around our home, you'll also see a lot of things like angels and just different protective devices to help just bring good vibes home, which is a big part of who I am and a big part of Jungalow. And our brand is helping people invite good energy and positive energy into the home. We have a lot of instruments. We love to play music. My husband plays a lot of instruments. I play guitar and piano, and I love to sing. So you'll see around our home a lot of instruments. You'll see a lot of pieces from our collections. This is one of my favorite rugs from our Ruggable collection. This is Josephine, and it all comes from my hand paintings. And so you'll see a lot of my paintings around the home, but then you'll also see, you know, things like pillows and rugs that were born of my art and of my painting. So in that way, it really is sort of like a living museum of art and artifacts and design objects that come from my heart and my hand. So for me, mixing and matching, whether it comes to color or print, is a very intuitive exercise and experience. For me, it really has to do with just holding two things up next to each other, and it's almost like they're having a conversation with one another. And I just look and I say yes or no, and it just comes out of me, and it's just clear to me, as clear as if I'm hugging somebody and I like their energy or not, right? It feels similar to that to me. So for me, when I'm mixing print and pattern, I just like to hold things up, move things around, and just get a feel for it. And it is a very, very intuitive process for me. I do think it's important to layer pattern with solids so that you don't get a feeling of getting too overwhelmed or sensory overload, unless that's what you're going for. So for me, it really is like doing a painting or like writing a song. You just add and subtract and until you find sort of what feels like the right alchemy to you. I've got all these unique vessels, and many of them have faces, and I've collected vessels with faces for almost 20 years. And I call them vessels with personality. And it's so funny because it's just been something that ever since I was little, I was very drawn to, especially because if you have face planters or face cups, and I'll show you when we go to the kitchen, I have so many of these things, and you put stuff in it and it looks like hair, and it just makes me smile and it makes me laugh. And I think that humor is such an underrated part of design, and I really love to add pieces that make you smile and like make you wonder and make you feel curious and that have a sense of wonder to it, and it's a little bit of whimsy, right? And so for me, when you walk into somebody's house and it's a little serious, right, and you feel like you can't touch anything, or it's austere, or it's too minimal, and you're like, ugh, like it doesn't create a sense, for me, it doesn't give me a sense of comfort, of relaxation. But because I want my home to be a reflection of who I am, I love having objects that have a fun little quirky sense of humor, because that's how I am. We had this tile put in. This is actually a cement tile from Morocco in a traditional pattern. And it was pretty funny because when we decided to install this tile here, we installed the same tile in the Lanai, which I'll show you when we walk over there. But in this area, we decided to install it the traditional way. And then you'll see in the Lanai, we installed it in a very non-traditional way. And this is also kind of a conceptual play that I like to do. I love to just experiment and have fun. And again, not take design too seriously. I love tradition, and I love mixing up tradition and creating my own traditions. And so here, there is a very clear play on something traditional and paying homage to the tradition. And then in this other area, which you can see as well, you can see both areas from this vantage point, putting my own spin on something, making it my own. I first came across these huge palm trees on Instagram, and they're fabric from La Maison Pierre Fray. and they're embroidered, and apparently they were from a drawing that a child made. And I was just instantly drawn to them. I love palm trees. I feel like they're iconic to Los Angeles, but they're also iconic to other areas that speak to me very deeply, like desert areas in Morocco, for example. And so I saw these and I just love them. So I actually sewed these myself. I put these yellow linen panels on either side. I like to get crafty. I like to make things. So you'll see around the house where I've, purchased some things and then again, put my own spin on them to make them work in the space. So as you can see, I love my pillows. And a lot of these were actually newly acquired because once again, we had to get rid of most of our textiles after the fire because of smoke damage. So I actually have had some fun sourcing and finding some beautiful new throw pillows. For me, pillows are like little pieces of artwork. And when I'm putting them together and when I'm thinking about them, it really is about almost like creating a gallery wall. And that's how I think about it. I mix colors, I mix patterns, I try different placements until I come up with something that's really pleasing to me. I also love this sofa. It feels so luxurious to lay on it, and 4 people can lay on it together comfortably. And so for me, really, the living room is so much about being comfortable, about being able to stretch out, about being able to just commune with family and friends. And doing so on an array of beautiful pillows is never a bad thing. The beams are original to the house. This is what they looked like when we moved in, and we haven't touched them. I think that in some ways, again, balancing sort of traditional Spanish architecture with my own personal funky style is something that I like to balance. And so certain things we did want to keep original to the home. And so these beams were a great example of that. There's something so kind of just the magnitude of them, the size is just something that sometimes I just stare up and look at the wood. I love incorporating natural materials into the home. It's something that I feel like helps with the conversation between the indoors and out. I think as human beings, we are so disconnected from the fact that we are part of nature and we are nature. And so bringing things into the home to help remind us of that, I think is a beautiful thing. So wood and rattan and cotton and hemp and terracotta and all these natural materials that are really close to the earth help remind me of the fact that I am part of nature. So this is sort of the entry area to our home. This area turns into a dance floor when we have parties. And sometimes I'll do my little workout or my stretching here. My husband is very, he yearns for some negative space. And so this is also, me compromising with him. There doesn't have to be furniture everywhere. There doesn't have to be stuff everywhere. So this is a little bit of negative space. And then over here, this is the entry to our home. So this is sort of the first area that people are greeted with when they come into our home. And we're often switching this area up. We're switching what's on the walls, what's on the console. But again, all the items that I have sort of represent a different chapter of my life, a different part of who I am. These paintings are paintings that I did. This one is of my kiddo, Ida, and this one is actually original artwork that some of the oracle cards from our Grow project came from. So this is for the animal card. You'll see a lot of my artwork around the home that, again, I use in different projects for books, for design, for rugs, for pillows, that sort of thing. You also see, again, we have a lot of instruments just sort of like hiding around the house. This was actually my grandfather's gong. And then this is a pan drum, which, ready? This wall niche is original to the house, which is so funny because in our previous home, I had niches like this put into the home. And then here, this house just had them. And not only that, but also has a light, which is so sweet and cute. And we leave it pretty empty up here because my cats like to jump up here and stick their little faces up that hole. I don't know why, but they love to do that. So they're constantly knocking things down from there. So, but I do have this beautiful Moroccan Hamza mirror here. And I just love the way it kind of grounds the space. And, you know, we painted it yellow to add this sort of extra highlight to it. So I grew up in Berkeley, California. It was a very colorful, effervescent upbringing. My parents are both psychologists. And I think for them, me and my siblings being able to self-express was something that they always cultivated. And so I grew up in a household that sort of really did cultivate self-expression and creativity. And I think for that reason, I've always been a little bit unbridled and unafraid to just try things out and see what I like. And for me, self-expression is kind of how I live and breathe and how I understand myself. And so when it comes to home and design and art and creativity, for me, it really is a way of life. My sense of style is really an external kind of representation of who I am as a person. And so I'm an artist, and so when you look around my home, you're gonna see a lot of art. You're going to see a lot of objects that I've collected throughout my whole life, and objects that also represent my husband, my child, the travels that we've taken together. It really is almost like a museum to me of the places we've been, the people we've loved, the people we still love. You're gonna see a lot of music in this home because we love music. We love to play music and make music together. It's a creative home. It's a living home. It's a home for our kitties as well. So you'll see lots of kitty stuff around. And really, this is a place for us that we hope to be able to invite people that we love as a sort of a sanctuary and a respite and a creative place where people can unwind and tap into their creativity as well. We did a lot of renovations to this home. This home was built originally in the 1930s and hadn't really been updated since the 1970s when we purchased it. So we redid and continue to redo many areas of this home kind of bit by bit. For me, it's a labor of love and it's a ongoing creative project. I believe we're gonna live in this home for the rest of my life, our lives, and so it is like a painting or something that we just keep on working on and keep on making it more ours. So welcome to the Lanai. This is this sort of beautiful transition space between the outside and the inside. And I love this room. This is definitely one of my favorite rooms in the house. This is the tile that I spoke about. So you can see here, there is this crazy funky pattern on the floor. And this is traditional Moroccan tile that we had laid down in a very non-traditional way. And the non-traditional way that we had it laid down in was completely random. And in doing so, it creates these sort of squiggles and different lines that reminds me of water and the way that water kind of moves through a space. There is something so fun about it. This is one of my favorite design details in the home. I also really love these chairs that I found at one of my favorite vintage shops here in LA. And they have inlay here. And I actually only sort of recently started incorporating more dark colors into my design. Like oftentimes I would keep everything really light and bright. And I don't know if it's just my own mood or the mood of what's happening around the world now, but I've been really drawn to sort of these high contrast black and white pieces. I think also just the fact that you can see that these are hand carved just do something for me that I really love. You can see in this room also, I do have such a passion and a love for plants. We have been replanting the home since the fires. Most of all of our plants died or came close to dying when, you know, we couldn't come back up to the house for months on end. So a lot of these plants are new, so welcome, my friends. And most of them are tropical, but I just love the feeling of being surrounded by plants. I find that I can see how well I'm doing by how well my plants are doing. Oftentimes, if I have the time and the energy and the space in my life to really care for the plants that I have, that means that I have bandwidth to care for myself as well. So oftentimes it's a barometer. And so I love putting plants at all different heights in the home. So I've got, you know, this beautiful pothos is hanging, but I've got plants on the floor, I've got plants on the tables, and it really creates a lush environment, which reminds me of sort of the way the jungle is. So when I was first furnishing the home, I got a DM from a random lovely human on Instagram saying, I see this 15-piece carved wooden furniture and I think it is meant to be yours. I think you need to have it. And I clicked over and I looked at it and I gasped and I was like, and it was just like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And so I reached out to the seller and he was like, oh, sorry, just sold it. And my heart sank because, you know, when you find that perfect thing and you know it was meant to be yours and then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. So uncharacteristically, I was like, I'm gonna fight for this thing. So I begged the person who sold it to tell me who he sold it to. And he did. And then I begged that person to sell it to me. And he did. And so what you see here are 2 of the 15 pieces of the carved wooden furniture that you'll see that is out here on our patio, which is just like one of the first investments that I made in the home and one of the first things I purchased for the home. I was so happy it made it through the fire. I had to like reupholster it and everything, but it's one of the most beautiful furniture sets I've ever seen and I'm obsessed. This is a piece of mine called Senna. And yeah, I love painting naked ladies. Don't know why. I like what I like. And I just loved the way she looked surrounded by this kind of Bordeaux color. And I find her to be very soothing. She's surrounded by these funky, I don't even know what to call these things, but whatever they are, I found them at the Rose Bowl Flea Market. I love the Rose Bowl Flea Market. You'll find me there all the time. And then, you know, got a couple of my planties up here as well. And this is a kind of a fun detail. When we first moved into this house, I was wanting to bring in some traditional Spanish elements, but then once again, put my own spin on them. So this house already had a lot of wrought iron details around. And I saw these lamps online at a vintage online shop. And I was like, oh my God, these are so cool. And I made the mistake that probably a lot of us make. I thought they were probably like this big. And they came and they were huge. And I was like, oh, this is actually really fun. But the shades were just this kind of gray color. And, you know, I was just, gray is not me. It's not my tone. So I added the yellow stripes and all of a sudden it brought in that little bit of like circus fun vibe that I really love. And the scale with the stripes just made it a really fun kind of play. And so we added 2 of those, one on either side. Here in the Lanai. Welcome to our courtyard. I probably spend the most time out here. It is such a relaxing space here in Los Angeles. We are so blessed to have sun so much of the year. So we're out here eating meals, we are out here reading, and when we entertain, this area is just full. So this was just one of my favorite spots in the house from the get-go. I had this wall tiled in Zellige tile, which is traditional mosaic tile from Morocco. This is Zia tile. And when the fires happened and we didn't know if the house had burned down or not, I sort of pictured this one wall left still standing. But thank God our house didn't burn. But yeah, we just keep on adding to this space. And then here you get to see this incredible carved wood, the rest of the 13 pieces that I was talking about. So the tables, the little ottomans, The chairs, they all are this vintage carved wood. They have like birds and things carved into them. And thank God we were able to salvage it after the fires and clean them and have them refinished. And we back, baby! So this is one of my favorite pieces as well. So funny story, I first purchased these two sconces and we had them in a different area. Then when we redid this area outside, I thought so much about what pendant I wanted to hang here. I ended up going to one of my favorite stores in LA, which is Badia Design. It's a Moroccan import store. And I walked around probably for 2 hours trying to decide what kind of lantern to get. And then all of a sudden I looked up and I saw these pieces and I was like, oh, the decision was already made. I have the sconces that go with this light. And so it took all the pain of trying to sift between all the beautiful chandeliers, and the choice was made for me. And so she picked me. I am out here in the mornings, oftentimes doing my morning routine. You'll find me napping on this double chaise. This is really just such a glorious place to be at all hours of the day. And really it was this courtyard that sort of fulfilled my dream of having a home like this, because ever since I was a little girl, I always dreamed about having a home that surrounded an exterior courtyard. And so when I saw that this house did that, I was like, this is it. This is our place. This whole courtyard surrounds this incredible olive tree. And to me, she is just also another heart of the home. I mean, to have this in the middle of this space. You know, I lived in Italy for 7 years, and so there is also kind of a Mediterranean sort of spirit that calls to my heart, and for me this olive tree kind of ties me to that as well. So she is absolutely one of my favorite aspects of this place, and all the other trees. No shade. I love you all. Would I consider myself a maximalist? Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like I invented the word. I'm kind of kidding, but I'm also kind of not kidding. I feel like for me, maximalism is not always about stuff. And I think that's the thing that sometimes people get wrong about maximalism. Like I think a lot of times I hear people talking about maximalism, like on social and things like that. And they're like, oh, well, I don't like clutter. So, I'm not a maximalist. And I'm like, well, I feel like that's not exactly what maximalism is about for me. It can be about maximum color. It can be about mixing wild patterns. It can be about having brightly colored tile or beautiful mosaics or a lot of art on your walls. It doesn't have to mean that you have a lot of stuff everywhere. So for me, it's about having a beautiful balance of color, of pattern, of plants, of things that sort of light you up, make you feel good. Again, I like homes that tell the story of who the inhabitants of the home are. And so if you have a home where there's not much in it, for me, there's just not much of a story there, which is fine, but it's just not what lights me up. I think that I find it to be a compliment when people walk in and have a sense or an understanding of who I am through my home. I believe that homes should really be a representation of who we are. And so for me, that feels like a huge compliment. I also love it when people say that my home is warm. I've had people say that the home feels like a hug. And that always really makes me feel good. And here we are in our dining room. This is a very new to me space as well, because we just had this bench built after we had to get rid of our dining chairs. And so I'm still sort of massaging this space and figuring out what this space is gonna be like. But I had a vision of wanting a very, very long table here so that for my family gets together Friday nights for dinners with my, brother and sister and their kids and my parents. And it was important to me that we could all fit around the table for these Friday night dinners. So we also had this bookshelf installed in this house. We had a lot of built-ins put in because I just wanted things to be inset and a little bit out of the way, so we weren't bumping into, you know, big pieces of furniture. So we had this built, we painted it in these two tones. We also had this bar built, which originally in this home, there was a counter here and a window into the kitchen. And so we kind of closed it off in order to make space for this bar, which I love because it kind of alleviates some work for me when we host. I'm just like, help yourself at the bar. You know, people can just come up and make themselves whatever they want. So I love this space. We use Zelish tile from Zia Tile here. I love that we have this beautiful Kohler faucet in here with just this warm gold tones. And this is one of my favorite moments in the home because I love the alcove and the feeling of sort of this arch, and it kind of just, these arches and these alcoves create a feeling of coziness and warmth. So I mentioned that I enjoy vessels with personality, and so I'm going to show you a few other ones that I have. I've had these for a long time. I just love them. They're in the style of Bjorn Vindblad, which is a Danish artist and designer. And then I also have these. These guys are so funky and cute and funny. And they all have different faces. And I'm a big tea girly. So one thing that I love to do is make myself some tea. And then we have this also this Insta-Hot water. So I can just make myself tea instantaneously. And since I'm an impatient Aries, I love that. We have obviously a lot of books and a lot of art as well, and I'm constantly rotating our collection of art and what we have up on the walls. In here you'll actually see some of my husband's art, you'll see some of my kiddos' art, you'll see some of my art as well. And it really is a fun place just to kind of rotate in and out. Just different things that I find to be beautiful, and I'm excited about our new built-in bench because we have storage in there. So I get to hide all the stuff that's not on display and then bring things out when I'm ready for a change, which honestly is pretty often. I like switching things up. As I mentioned, most of the textiles that you're gonna see around the house are new. So I just found this one on Etsy, and it was a company out of the Netherlands, but I believe it's block printed in India. And I just love the combination of red and pink. It's one of my favorite color combinations. I love a stripe. And then I have this funky green and yellow floral around it. And I'm in a phase that I'm really drawn to roses. And so you'll see little rose motifs around. For a long time, I sort of was like, oh, I don't like roses. They're too basic. And for whatever reason, in the last like 6 months, I've been like intoxicated by roses and rose motifs, and I'm just obsessed with them. So you'll see them around the house. Welcome to our kitchen. This is absolutely the brightest room in the house. And this is a space that we really redid from ceiling to floor. When we first moved here, it was a very like prototypical 80s kitchen. There was a drop ceiling and everything was kind of ready to be updated. So we had the opportunity to kind of reimagine how we wanted this space to be. And we used 3 different types of Moroccan tile in here, cement tile on the floor and Zelish tile on the walls. In case you can't tell, I love Zelish tile. It's just the shimmer and the unevenness, and you can see the human hand in the tile, and that's something that I always really love. We also had this vent hood made for this space, and this was a big vision of mine from the beginning, to kind of create make it almost ornamental and make it extra beautiful. And because I love to collect things, and kitchen things are one of my favorite things to collect, I wanted a place to display all my beautiful cups and vases and candelabra and all my funny little quirky things that I love. So we designed this kind of display area for all of our stuff, but also we wanted a kitchen that felt pragmatic and easy to cook in. And so, you know, we have plenty of counter space, and we got this island. And on this side, we have a lot of closed storage so that we can really also have the ugly stuff. in our kitchen. Because let's face it, blenders just aren't cute, but they're just part of it. So I also have this gallery wall, which displays some pieces that I've had collected over the years. I got this cheese grater in India in 2020, right before COVID hit. And I bought these 20 years ago in Italy when I lived there. In fact, I was just noticing on the back, the price is still in lira. That's how long ago it was that I bought these 2 pieces in Italy. And some of them are like, this is a photograph that I took of pomegranates hanging on the wall in Turkey. So a lot of these pieces are things that are very, very personal to me. This belonged to my husband's uncle, I believe. So it's also sort of just telling the story of who we are, where we've been, and our collections. And again, that's what I feel like home should do. These were my grandparents. So for me, all of these items, I can think about them, I can look at them, and they remind me of somebody I love, or something that I did, or some fun story of where I traveled to. And for me, that is what maximalism is about. It's the stories that these items tell. One way that I design and I think about design is so much by color. And I think that's how oftentimes you can make collections of things look more soothing and not make it look cluttered. And so you can see up here, I have my collection of mostly terracotta items. A lot of these are from Mexico. The second vase there, that very tall one, is a Gambone vase. He was an Italian ceramicist from the mid-century. That's a Mexican tree of life. These are also Mexican pots. I bought this mini face vessel when I was in Mexico a few years ago. So again, like bringing them all together and having them be all kind of in the same color family. And over here, I've done the same thing, but I've used my collection of green ceramics over here. So it creates a very cohesive kind of look. Most of the ceramics up here are from Morocco, but there are a few that I purchased elsewhere. I got the pot all the way on the left in Costa Rica. I found that one at the Rose Bowl. So it's a little bit of a mix, but by putting all the green ones together and putting all the terracotta ones together, when you look up at it, it creates this cohesive, collected look that's maximal. But in my opinion, it's not too overwhelming to look at because the colors are very cohesive. When I was a kid, I always knew I was going to grow up to do something creative, and I never knew what that was going to be. I've loved the arts for as long as I could talk and walk. So for me, whether it was music or painting or drawing or writing, something about bringing out what was inside of me was always something that I was very drawn to, captivated by, and was very important to me. It feels like lifeblood, feels like what I need to survive. I think as I grew up, as much as I loved music and singing and writing music and playing instruments, there was something about performing for a living that didn't feel aligned for me. And I'm a homebody. And so I think because of that, my career took a turn into more of the visual arts, which I've also always loved so much. And design seemed like an easy way to earn a living from doing creativity and things that I've loved. And I've also always loved style and self-expression and fashion and things like that, textiles. So it was just kind of easy for me to walk into somewhere and be able to think like, oh, I wonder if we did this in this color or in this pattern, how it would look. And little by little, I honed and evolved my style in order to kind of create something that was standing out from the crowd and that was catching people's attention. So Jungalow is a creative studio and a lifestyle brand, and really we design items for the home and also do all manner of creative projects. Basically, if it's fun and it's creative and we feel like doing it, we'll do it. So it's very interdisciplinary in that way. Right now, we have a bit of an arts focus because that's something that I'm personally really interested in this moment, and the brand kind of follows me and my personal interests. And one of the things that we have going on that's super exciting is that in January, on January 6th, actually, we have a new book coming out that I actually co-authored with my mom, who is a developmental psychologist, and this is a really, really special project that we've been working on for the last 2 years. It's a book, but it also is an oracle deck. So it comes with 50 cards that I hand painted. You can pull a card and then consult the guidebook, and there are activities and curiosities and different ways to think about things in life that can help you grow. And so this is something that my mom, Dr. Ronnie, and I have been working on for the last 2 years, and we can't wait to share it with the world. Welcome to my cozy little bright and shining entryway. This is such a fun little space. We put all these little mirrors. Most of them are from Morocco or Mexico. Are you picking up on a theme here? Morocco, Mexico. But I really wanted to create sort of this magical, twinkling kind of experience for people as they enter into the threshold of our home. I really feel like this is a liminal space. It's a gateway between the outside and the inside. And I love to decorate gateways and these liminal spaces in ways that really mark the moment and mark the threshold of you're entering into somewhere sacred right now. You're entering into someplace special. And so it's really all decked out with protective devices. There's Hamza, there's Milagros, there's hearts, there's sort of all of these symbols of protection and beauty and safety. So that's what I hope to give people as they enter, and also though as they exit back out into the world. So now I'm going to show you into my studio. Come on in. This is my, as my kiddo would say, creative sanctum. This is where I work. I have my Zoom calls. I do all the businessy stuff, but also where I paint and meditate and relax and read. And this is really my room. Like in the house, this is where I get to sort of just do me. And anytime you come here, like when people come over, they're always like, what are you working on? And get a little peek on my easel and see what I'm working on in this moment. As I mentioned, I also love to craft. So I also have my sewing machine here, and I'm sewing a lot and, you know, just making all kinds of fun things. I love textiles. I've got all kinds of crafty things here, and oftentimes my child will be in here with me and we'll be crafting and painting and creating together. This is also where I do my morning routine. So over here you'll see I've got a lot of oracle and tarot cards, incense. This is where I do my morning prayers and my morning meditation. Sometimes I do it outside, but when I'm doing it inside, I'm doing it right here. And I created this kind of altar, and to me, every single item that's on here is meaningful to me in some way, representing many people in my family, both living and passed on, and items people have gifted to me that are meaningful to me. And I also have a collection of crystals and rocks, and I try and have a different item from each element here as well. So when I'm doing my morning routine, I'll bring in fire, and I have my plants, and I have my incense, and I have my rose water, and I'm bringing in all these different elemental energies into the space to just fill my soul in the morning and be ready to have a meaningful and beautiful day. So over here also, you can see I've got this beautiful old hutch that I found. And when I first kind of was thinking about what I wanted this room to be like, I was kind of picturing it like an old like apothecary, where it's like I have my magic potions and I have all my books and, you know, I'm casting spells. So when I saw this vintage hutch, I was like, I need this. And it has all these cute, weird, like hidden compartments and stuff. And I was like, this is perfect. So I have, you know, lots of books that I've been reading. This side is the ones I still want to read that are on my to-read list. This side is the side of books that I have already read in the last couple of years. And And then, you know, I have sentimental items in here. This was the catalog from my first solo exhibition that was this year. You know, I've got my books and items from collections in the past that I've done that I've loved. Here are more vessels with personality. These are ones that I designed. And this is really sort of a archive as well of so many of my own creative chapters and times in my life. And I can look back. More vessels with personality. Look back on so many of these items with nostalgia and pride and gratitude for the creative journey that I've been able to lead, and all the people and energies who've helped me make that possible and helped me channel so much beauty into the world. This is my mood board, my inspiration board, also just shit I can't forget about board. So you'll see lots of different things on here from, like, for example, we're actually building a ADU right now. We just finally, after 2 years, got the permits, and we're building a place in our backyard for my parents, and they're going to move here whenever the house is done. So some of the items on here you'll see are like for that project, and I'm concepting and, you know, designing that house from the ground up. So it is a big project that is on my mind and heart a lot these days. And also a lot of my own art pieces or prints of my art that are on here. And then mixed in with art from artists I really admire. You can see there's like Paul Klee and Hilma af Klint on here, and Frida, and so many artists who have inspired me along the way. And then just like random fun things that just inspire me or that make me giggle. Funny things, like, I don't know why, but I like these like holographic postcard, you know, it's just shit that I like. And sometimes I put my doodles up here. A lot of the times I will doodle something, and then like 2 years later, that doodle will turn into something, whether it was like a card for my oracle deck, or a painting, or, you know, I love to write. So I'm writing a lot of stories these days, and sometimes the doodle will be the jumping off place for a story. So much of what I do all kind of comes together in unexpected ways and ends up kind of coming out through me in ways that I would have never expected, but I have to keep them up because otherwise I forget about them. And I have a pretty serious journaling practice. I journal in the mornings. In fact, you can see I have collections of old journals here. And so these are all sort of ways that I channel and think about things. And then oftentimes I'll kind of look through my old journals or my old sketchbooks and bring that stuff out, either when I'm ready or sometimes when I feel the world is ready. These are actually the original sketches that I did in the journal that turned into a painting of mine that's called Heart Guide. And the painting opens up and it's sort of interactive, and you can sort of see there's like a map to my heart inside the painting. And these were the first concepts of this idea that I kind of sketched out. So oftentimes I'll do things like this in my journal, and then like maybe 2 or 3 years later, something more concrete or something that I'm willing to share with the public will emerge from, you know, an idea that I had in my morning pages. So a lot of my artwork is at my studio, but in this space, I have just particular pieces. They're either new, and that's why they're here, is because I haven't brought them down to my studio yet, or for some reason they're particularly meaningful to me, or I love them. This is the original artwork for the Grow Oracle deck that is coming out next month, and I first painted this spiral and knew that I wanted the spiral to represent growth. The idea is that as you move through time, you grow and you integrate what you've learned in the past. So you might be repeating some of the same lessons and patterns throughout your life, but because you've already experienced new and different things, you're able to see it from a new vantage point. So that's why I've got the eyes on the spiral. So this is very meaningful to me. I love doing prints. And so these are some print making that I've done with my kiddo, where we're doing etchings and then printing them on ink on this cool rag paper, getting kind of multimedia. Here is a portrait that I did of my kiddo in chalk. Here's a self-portrait on acrylic, but here you can see this is really just me having fun and just experimenting with different media and seeing what comes out. When I think about the heartbeat of this home, for me, it's almost like a chimera. Like maybe it's a creature with a few different hearts or a few different brains or something of that nature, because you'll see my art studio, which is also my office, and that's kind of like my room. And for me, that is where so much of my own creativity comes out and where I'm really able to explore who I am as a creative and as a human being. And so that room is just probably like my heart beats there. But this room is sort of like the heartbeat of the whole family. This is where we come together and have movie nights and watch, you know, shows and have silly times, but we also play music together in here and play games. And when we host, this is really where everybody congregates, and we host a song club and people come and sing together. And, you know, I have a big family, and this has kind of evolved into our sort of family hub home. And so, you know, if you come here on the weekends, you'll see cousins and parents and brothers and sisters and kids running around, and it's really fun and lively. And that happens a lot in this area. And then also my bedroom for me is also a sanctuary, and my bathroom, I love taking baths. So that for me feels like the heartbeat of sort of where I unwind and connect with my husband, and I'm able to really cultivate rest and cultivate the being of life, the human being part. And I'm gonna invite you into a very special and intimate space. Welcome to our bedroom. The most obvious and probably the most dramatic thing about this space is the paint. And we had this room painted in a deep teal lime wash. And what it did for the space was created this very dramatic kind of underwater feeling. It instantly completely transformed the space. It is dark in here, but unlike the rest of the house, I really enjoy how dark it is in here. Like it feels moody and cozy and warm and just like the right temperature to sleep and relax and do all the things that one does in a bedroom. This is a new bed that we had to get in the post-fire scenario, but I really love the way that the teals and the golds work together. So that's kind of the overall overarching color palette in this bedroom. The painting that you see above the bed was actually a painting that was done by my great uncle Bert. And we have a fair amount of his artwork and jewelry. He was also a jewelry maker in our home. And again, family is so important to me. And I love that I can also have elements from, you know, different parts of my family represented in our home. I also have a few paintings that I've done up here on the walls. Both of these paintings are of Jason and I, my husband and me. Yeah, you'll also see, here, come over to my nightstand and I'll show you some of my special knickknacks. So I have a lot of hearts and things that I've collected over the years that kind of, you know, represent this space for my husband and I to be in together and just show love and a loving energy. It's really important to me that this space feels soothing and romantic and like a reflection of who we are as a couple as well. So this space is probably a little bit more minimal in a way compared to a lot of the other spaces in our house, but this is a nice big room and we just wanted it to be pretty open and airy. So funny story about this little love right here. So I saw this on Etsy and I had seen her before and I just fell in love with her. She's done by a Mexican artist. And there's just something about it that feels very me to me. Anybody who knows me is like, yes, this is very Justina. and I went to New Orleans to help a friend, a dear, dear friend of mine, DeVito, with some stuff for his home. And I had hearted this on Etsy, but I didn't buy it because it was a little too pricey. And then he gifted this to me. Out of all the things he saw on Etsy, he saw the same thing I had seen. We had not talked about it, but it was just one of those things where you're kind of tapping into the collective conscious, and he exactly knew what I would love. And he had exactly known the one thing on Etsy that I had seen, but like didn't want to buy for myself because it felt like too indulgent. So anyway, those happy accidents are so cute. I love you. One of the things that we loved about this house, or I loved about this house when we first came here, I was like, oh my God, there is a fireplace in the bedroom. Like, that is very lit. So love that there's a fireplace here. Before the fires, we used it quite a bit actually. And there's just nothing more romantic than lighting a wood burning fire in your bedroom. Come on, it's pretty special. And then our kitties like to hang out here too. So we put a little kitty tree for them here, and they like to look out the window at the trees and meow at the squirrels. Sometimes they have little words where it's like beep, 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 beep. The kitties are like meow, 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 meow. Beep, 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 beep. It can be a little loud in the morning, but that's worth it. You also should check out our view from the window. You can spin around here because you can see the rest of our beautiful garden and yard from out here. And so it's a beautiful thing to wake up to in the morning, and the sun rises from here. And so you get a peek at this beautiful sunrise from this glorious vantage point under the oak tree. This is kind of a funny story. Because this room is so dark, we had a skylight tunnel put in here. But the quality of the light was very blue, and I wanted it to be warmer, but it's not like I could switch out the light bulb because it's actually like the light that's coming in from the sky. And so I had this idea, and I bought this pierced metal light fixture and just placed it over the skylight. And so it looks like a light, and it is a light, but it's not an electric light. It is actually a covered skylight. To me, the word home means comfort inside myself. It means comfort in my relationships. It means safety. It means an exhale. Homeworthy, thank you so much for coming by and letting me show you around. See you soon. Bye.
Today on Homeworthy, we're in Birmingham, Alabama, visiting the vibrant home of floral designer Mary Cox Brown. When a tree fell on her house just before Christmas, it sparked a full renovation that transformed her space into a joyful reflection of her personality and style.
These curtains were in my existing living room. I actually bought them from a designer who was moving spaces, and they survived the tree falling on my house. And so I knew I wanted to put them back because I love them, but also because they kind of tell a story.
Filled with bold color, playful pattern, and an eclectic mix of vintage treasures and family heirlooms, Mary Cox's home captures her maximalist spirit and love of beauty in every corner.
I don't shy away from flowers or color. More is always more. I like a layered table, you know, like a linen, and I want a placemat, then I want a napkin. I want silver, you know, I want a big centerpiece, and then I want little bud vases. I like all of it. And I do think that's what makes a table interesting.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Mary Cox. Welcome to my home in Alabama. Hey y'all, I'm Mary Cox Brown, a floral designer in Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome to my home. About 2 years ago, my neighbor's tree during a storm in December fell on top of my house and smushed it. I was in the house. I was asleep in my bedroom, used to be on that side of the house. I was asleep in my bed. We'd had a wedding that day. I'd worked We'd been decorating houses for Christmas, like I was exhausted, and I slept right through it. I say I slept through it. My friends all think I have like blocked it out, but I just started hearing water in the house, and I wandered down the hallway and out in my pajamas, and there was a tree in my living room, literally. And when this tree fell on my house, it really just smashed the roof. But what caused us to have to do this entire gut and remodel is that we discovered that the house had asbestos. And so everything had to go. Within 3 weeks of the tree falling on this house, the entire house was gutted and cleaned out, and I had to start all over again. And it was a very daunting task. And so that's kind of how we arrived at putting this house back together. Not really because I wanted to, but because I had to. And I'd lived here for 15 years before that and never really had even considered remodeling or redoing this house. And so for about 2 years, I lived in an apartment with about a quarter of the things that I have, and I feel like that's given me such a great appreciation for my things. Now being back in my house and unpacking them again, it's like having all these treasures back with me. It's almost like Christmas presents, unwrapping them again. To be really honest, I didn't have a vision going into it. I was so overwhelmed. I really was very paralyzed for months. I had, thankfully, have really good friends and a wonderful family that kind of carried me through the first months. But because it was not your traditional like remodel, I was dealing with an insurance company. Insurance is a very, very daunting process. And so it took us about 8 months to even settle on the like amount of money that we thought we could agree upon that it would take to put this house back together. So for all that time, I kind of sat and wondered about what to do, but I was very lucky. I brought in a person who's now a friend, Katrina Porter, and she came in and rethought the entire layout of the house, which I never would have thought. And she took where my bedroom is now was my kitchen, and this was where we're sitting now was a bedroom. And so she changed the entire footprint of the house. And that is the biggest thing of people that have been in my house before this and then been in my house now, is the difference in the way that it's laid out. It's like a very traditional home wood cottage in Birmingham. Like there's so many houses that look exactly like this. But suddenly when you come in, the inside is so different from everyone else's because she, Katrina, thought through how to really maximize space, because I didn't need a bigger house. When we started this process, a lot of people told me to sell the lot and just give up and try and find a new house. And then there were people that said, oh, you should just like take the top off and go up a floor, go up a whole story. And that's what a lot of my neighbors have done. And I don't need that much space. I don't need a 5-bedroom house. And so, and I like how small my house is. I like how cozy it is. But having someone like Katrina who really rethought the floor plan was the biggest gift. But really, like where it comes to design, I just kind of pick what I like. And that's like kind of my motto in life, is if I like it, I'll find a spot for it. And sometimes that's kind of chaotic, but usually it seems to work out for me. Welcome to my living room. When we started to redesign this room, we clearly were thinking about the color pink. I bought this fabric from a designer that was selling like a remnant, so I only had 2 yards of it. This was probably one of the main starting off points, but these curtains were in my existing living room. I actually bought them from a designer who was moving spaces, and they survived the tree falling on my house. And so I knew I wanted to put them back because I love them, but also because they kind of tell a story. So this is kind of where I started with my living room, were these colors, but when it comes to mixing patterns, I really just pick the things I like. I do love fabric. I like trims. So if I like it, I buy it, which is probably a really bad thing in life, which is probably why I have so many things. But I tend to try to just make it all go together. I love a mixture of textures. So I like having velvet and linen. I love this Ushak rug. I bought it from a lady in Birmingham, and it also survived the storm. It got cleaned twice and cleaned up perfectly. I think that's why you buy a really nice rug because it will clean. And it will be, they say it's forever and they mean it. It can go through a tornado and then you can still have it. My art is probably my most favorite thing about my house. And I bought this painting here from an artist from Memphis, Emyo. And it is a painting of a Cuban flower market. She had a show in Birmingham, gosh, probably 10 years ago now. It was the first thing I saw when I walked in and I bought it immediately. One, because it's flower market, clearly. And two, because of all the color. She tends to paint in this color palette. And it's something, if I could own 15 of them, I'd never get sick of them. I wish I had one on every wall in my house. I do love like frame pictures, which I think some people don't, but I do. I like to have all my memories out. This is a precious little head that my friend Reagan gave me from a trip to Italy. I bought this sweet little man in Switzerland on spring break with my godchildren last year. We went to Switzerland. You know, I do. I like all my knickknacks. It's really bad. I mean, I'm very much my mother's child. The two pieces of art that are over here, I bought from Studio by the Tracks in Birmingham, which is a nonprofit that helps people with autism who create art, and you buy the art from them. So this is from a woman named Linda. They are like probably one of my two most prized possessions. I was so worried that they were ruined in the storm because they were on this wall right here and the tree came in, but luckily they were like missed by an inch. And I immediately took them off the wall that night in my pajamas and my raincoat and put them very safely away. They're really important to me. And then I also have this like framed shadow box, and my family's from New Orleans. My mom is, all my cousins are. My sister now lives there. And at Mardi Gras, the crews have favor pins. Every year you get a new one, and they usually just sit in a drawer. And my aunt has probably like 2,000 of them probably at this point. And she has them in shadow boxes all over the tables at her house in New Orleans. And I've always been so jealous of that. So I found the shadow box at a thrift store and started putting my pins in it, or picking the ones I like the best. They're really like works of art. They're so beautiful. And every year I add another one to it. It's kind of falling apart, but maybe I have to get another one soon. But I love it because it's different from just being a painting. It's really interesting to look at. It clearly holds a memory for me of all the fun Mardi Gras we've spent in New Orleans. These little strawberries were a gift for my 40th birthday from my dear friend James Farmer, who's one of my best friends. He sent them to me. We like to say we're two peas in a pod, but now we're two strawberries in a patch. And he sent them to me for my birthday, which they're so, I love here. I mean, clearly I love little things, little trinkets. And he sent these to me. I love them. I love a coffee table book. You'll see I have like a gabillion all over the house. Oh, this is a needlepoint pillow. My sister-in-law made it for me. She's like the most unreal needle pointer, but I bought the canvas at the beginning of COVID because I had convinced myself I was going to become a needle pointer. And I did like 2 rows and was like, this is not for me. And I gave it to her just for her to have it. And she finished it and gave it to me for Christmas like 2 years ago. So on the back, she monogrammed it. So Kitty Rogers Brown loves Mary Cox Brown. Anyways, it's so sweet. She surprised me with it, and I love it. Everybody always asks about that. The funniest thing that people always are drawn to in this room, which is this cheap book that someone gave me off Amazon. This is like my ultimate party trick. It's called the Fortune Telling Birthday Book. And it has like a little blurb on every person's birthday. And when someone new comes over, we sit and read it. Or like the other night, people came for supper and we read everybody's children's or their husbands or, their mothers. And it's funny how like, it's pretty accurate. Maybe too accurate on some people, but this is like our party trick. It's always out. People are always looking in it. The top piece of art I bought in Provence, probably 3 years ago, of a lavender field. I bought it. I can't even remember what little village in Provence, but I just loved it. It wasn't expensive. And I packed it in my suitcase and brought it home. And then the middle piece of art is from my friend Mason. Painted it for me after his mom died, as a thank you for helping with a lot of things. And I clearly treasure it. And we always said that mushrooms, come after a storm, after a long rain. So he painted mushrooms. And then the bottom piece of art was a gift from my dad. It is the Cahaba lilies, which the Cahaba River is here in Birmingham or in Alabama. And in spring, the parts of the river fill with these lilies, and it's like a sight to behold, and it's for a very short period of time. And he gave this to me. I think my sister and I both, he gave one to both my sister and I for Christmas one year, which I love it. When it comes to like hanging my art, again, there's not a lot of rhyme and reason to why I do it, except for that I grew up in a house with full walls of art. You know, it wasn't just one piece per wall. It was 15 pieces per wall. My aunt and uncle live in New Orleans and have probably the greatest collection of New Orleans art. And we have 14-foot ceilings with paintings stacked from the baseboards to the crown molding. And so I think that I always wanted to achieve that. So I just keep adding things. I'm not afraid to put a nail in a wall and move it around. On this wall behind us, I have my TV because you have to have a television. But Katrina Porter, who helped me with design, thought to build it into the wall so that it was less noticeable. And I changed out the art on it. This piece of art is my most treasured piece of art. My godchild, McCrae, painted it, or it's not a painting, it's an oil pastel. Did it for me, and I'd asked for it for about 18 months, and she refused to give it to me, and then she just gave it to me last week, which is very sweet. She's an incredible artist. But the other little things are things I've just collected. Like, I bought these at a thrift store. I bought this off of an online site. So it's like none of it really has a rhyme or reason. I bought this. It's so funny. Life's a drag when you have to keep bringing home the bacon. I just thought it was hilarious. I also have this random love of pigs. Who knows? Who knows why it's that way? But my house, I think, is very personal. Like I said, I think a lot of people don't like to put out pictures, but I like to have every memory out. I like to see all my people, whether it's like pictures of me when I was little or pictures of us last year at Thanksgiving. Like, I like to have all my people with me. I like a mix of old and new. Like, I love this old sideboard, and I have new chairs, or like a new sofa. I found these chairs. This is probably not, I probably shouldn't tell on myself, but they were sitting behind Salvation Army one time, and it was about to rain, and it was closed, and they were gonna get rained on. And so I just took them. And I went back the next day and made a donation. Like, I did steal them for a very short period of time, but they were just sitting out back. And then I had the lady who helps me recover things. We just recovered them, but they were such great chairs and they were in really good shape. So I just took them. But so everything is not new in my house, nor is it all old. It's a really big mix of things. I love a lampshade, and I like an expensive lampshade, unfortunately. I do think a lampshade makes the lamp. This lamp is awesome. I bought it just like at not a thrift store, but you know, like a big antique mall. I just saw it and loved it. And I put a white shade on it and lived with it like that for a while. And then we have a great shade place in Birmingham, Village Firefly, and I just took all these lamps in. And we went back and forth a lot on whether to match these two or to do two different shades, and I arrived at matching them, which I like. This lamp over here, I bought the lamp at Scott's in Atlanta. I have a pair of them. The other one's in a bedroom. But again, I don't like to put a white shade on things. It's real hard for me. I don't know that there's a white shade in this house. I love it. I mean, I'm not somebody that shies away from color, clearly. I love my pattern and I love my color. As you can see, my living room leads right into my kitchen. It's completely open. I am not a proponent of open spaces usually, but for the size of this house, it works perfectly. When we designed this kitchen, I did very little actually to design this kitchen. Katrina Porter, who helped me, she picked the cabinets, she picked the marble, all of those things. It's funny, just didn't really interest me, like what exactly the cabinet was gonna look like. I clearly was more concerned with what color the cabinets were gonna be, which took us forever to pick the pink. I wanted a pink kitchen. In my previous house, my kitchen was green. And I loved it. But I saw a picture of Maud Apatow, and she was sitting on the counter in her pink kitchen in New York. And I always had that picture in the back of my brain, but kind of was too scared to pull the trigger at first because it's a pink kitchen. It's a real choice. And a friend of mine who is great at design finally said to me, he said, it's just paint. Like, if someone wants to buy this house one day and hates pink cabinets, they'll just paint them. And I think that allowed me to want to really embrace the pink. And it does. It goes perfectly with everything I have in my house. It really does make sense. Green would have been much harder to pick because I have so many shades of green. But finding the right pink was really hard. We started out with the color that those cabinets were in that picture. But because I don't get a ton of light in my house, it read like really sandy colored. It didn't give you the pink you wanted. So I went through about probably like 30 pink paint samples. And we arrived on Sherwin-Williams Smoky Salmon. And I think a lot of people thought I was crazy. I know the people that built the cabinets thought I was crazy. They were two sweet men, older men, and they brought in the cabinets and I think thought, this is insane. We've never painted kitchen cabinets. I'm sure they've done like a bathroom vanity pink, but doing a whole kitchen pink, I think really perplexed them, if you will. But then they came back, they had to fix something like 2 months later, and they came back and they're like, oh, it makes so much sense now. We get it, which makes me feel better. My kitchen is, I'm not a huge cook. I'm a good cook, but I don't cook. It's just me, so I don't cook that much. But I do think it's really good, usable space. I wanted a big island. I wanted a place for people to gather. I bought these bar stools at Round Top and loved them. They were covered in a different fabric. And so I just had them, just the seats recovered, but I thought they were really fun. I mean, they're not like perfectly in the best shape, but I love them. I think the shape is so fun. I had marble countertops in my previous kitchen, and that was really important to me, but I definitely wanted something with a lot of veining, with a lot of interest. And so Katrina really helped pick that out and make it really special. My stove, I really never thought as much about a stove as I did until last year. When I was picking this, I was just gonna like pick, I don't know, the one from Lowe's. And the same friend that made me, or got me to paint the cabinets pink was like, you're gonna see this oven from every point of your, like every place in your house. You need to pick a pretty stove. It needs to be pretty. I did not realize how expensive a pretty stove is, but it's really small too, because I don't cook. I think if you had a family and we're trying to cook for them every day, this might be a small oven for you, but I did love it. I love brass. It is kind of perfect, and you do see it from everywhere in the house, so it is really important that it look nice. So I do love it. Another thing that, again, I didn't do it, but Katrina thought to do is she had them put this little marble shelf above my stove, which I love. Just like I have salt and pepper up here, herbs, whatever, olive oil. But it's like a great place to put stuff so it's not all on your counter, but it's also kind of fun to look at. I mean, it's not styled particularly well right now, but it's fun. I love unlacquered brass. I have unlacquered brass knobs and pulls, and my faucet is from England. It's from a company called Brassna, which we loved. These little heads I bought off of a website called Everything But the House. And they're Bacchus heads, and they're Majolica, which I love. I have a lot of Majolica in my house. But they're just so interesting, and every person I showed that I was buying them to thought I was a little nuts. And then when they went up, they looked so good. And they're paired between plates I already had that I loved, and again, like kind of were a jumping off point for the whole kitchen. Like if you look at the plate, it kind of makes sense how we chose the cabinet color. I bought this lamp in an estate sale. It's a marble lamp with a striped lampshade. I told you I don't have a white lampshade in this house. I do love a lamp. I don't particularly keep the overhead lights on a lot in this house. I do keep my lamps on all day. So I do. I love a lamp. This is Amari. I have a bunch of these Amari vases. My mom has a bunch of Amari. So I do keep flowers in my house most of the time, whether they're like leftover from a wedding or I've gone to do it. But I do like to have things living. I always have something big in the middle of the island, whether it be, like these are just Trader Joe's orchids. And I've had these for like a month, but I do like something big and living, also like a focal point as you come in the house, because you can see this directly from the front door. These light fixtures are really fun. I found them last Christmas. I guess I didn't realize I had to buy light fixtures. I wasn't paying attention that I needed light fixtures. And I found them on clearance at Anthropology. And I get more questions about them. And I'm like, they were like $98 each on clearance. I can't imagine why they're on clearance. Like, they're so what people like right now. But I do love them. They're really fun. I do like to cover all of my walls in art. This wall is a lot of art from New Orleans. There's a lot of great art markets in New Orleans. And so I do buy a bunch of things when I'm there. But the center of this wall, this is a portrait of my mother from 1956. And I stole it out of her house probably 6 months ago. I didn't tell her. She had not yet hung it in her house. And so I took it and I'm not going to give it back. But it's flanked by these two portraits that my godchildren, Henry and Walter, painted of themselves at an art camp. And I was obsessed with them. And so I took them. You'll see I take a lot of things from people without asking them. But these are very precious to me. And the portrait of my mom is very important to me. But really on this wall, it's just a collection of things. I have this awesome photograph of Mardi Gras Indians. I have this second line, lucky dogs. Who doesn't love a lucky dog? This painting my sister gave me, and it's behind glass because it's like done. The man uses crushed up flowers to make the paint. And she thought I love it in general, but because of how he makes it. And he's an artist from New Orleans. This is a piece of art from my niece, Marguerite. It says, "Love you to petals, May May." She's so cute. She was very jealous when she first came to my house that everyone else had art on the wall and she didn't. So she made that for me. One of my dear friends who's an awesome artist, Lacey, painted this marigold, that's the name of my business, marigold, for me for my 30th birthday, which I love. And then this is the invitation to my 40th birthday party that my friend James Farmer, again, had framed for me for my birthday, which is so fun. I love the idea of like framing an invitation or something like that. It's just another way to have fun art. The colors I'm drawn towards, clearly pink, pinks, corals, greens, but I do find that like pink and green as a floral designer, so I think that's maybe where this like kind of comes in, can come across kind of like childish or cheesy. Like a lot of times if we have a client come to us with pink and green, I want to try and make it look more sophisticated. So that was a big goal of mine, trying to get the color to look like me, but not look childish or cheesy. I mean, my entire house is pink and green. Pinks, corals, greens, a little bit of blue, but mostly pink and green. And so that is probably where I started. I'm definitely a maximalist. More is always more. I love to collect things. You know, I have silver trumpet vase collections and china collections and all sorts of things. I like a lot of stuff. I mean, I do. I like things. It's probably bad. You're probably not supposed to say that, but I do. I love things. But yes, I'm definitely a maximalist. There are not many like clean. This is probably the cleanest surface in this house. So this is my dining room. I do love to entertain, so I did set my table for y'all today. I am a hoarder of china and silver. I come back very honestly. Like I've said, my mother is a huge collector. I collect silver trumpet vases. It started with one, and then you get one and you have another, and then people started realizing I loved them, and so people started giving them to me. So the tops of my bookshelves are covered in silver trumpet vases, and then I now have like suddenly gotten onto silver baby cups. And I don't have children, which is so funny. I should start giving away to these children that are all born. The two cloches that are in the tops of the bookcases, were my grandmother's. And then my aunt and uncle had them before that. And then when they downsized, my aunt, nobody wanted them. I don't know why. And so I very happily took them from my aunt. And they are, again, very treasured to me because they're from my grandmother's house. But I also think they're really interesting looking. They're flowers, so of course I like them. And I just think they're great. This painting behind me, my dad gave me the first Christmas I lived in this house. It's like very in the style of Degas, you know, the ballerinas, which I love. It doesn't necessarily like go perfectly in this room, but that's, again, kind of my motto. I don't really worry about it too much. I love it. I think it belongs in here. On my table, we have a great store in Birmingham called Table Matters, where I buy most of my linens. And I do have a lot of linens. But I love, again, I love china. So I have this great china from Janori, which I love. And then I have my silver. Like my mother gives us a piece of silver every year for Christmas. Like she has since we were very little. We get like a fork or a spoon, and most people probably think that's really weird. But by the time you're 41, you have like a full set of silver without having to try very hard. So I originally had one pattern and then switched it all back in for another pattern in my 20s. So now mine is repoussé, which is this like very, shockingly, very floral pattern. But my forks, I love to mix my silver. My forks are my great-grandmother's. Her name was Mary Cox Brown, hence where my name came from. And they're hers. So that's just fun. I do like to mix things. Like everything doesn't have to match. Clearly nothing in my house like really matches. But I feel like it adds another layer. It adds another story, which makes it fun for people to come to your house because I end up talking about where things are from all the time. This tulip here, I bought from a local store. I love it. It's like a really easy way to arrange flowers and have it be really dramatic. I don't shy away from flowers or color. More is always more. I like a layered table, you know, like a linen, and I want a placemat, then I want a napkin. I want silver, you know, I want a big centerpiece, and then I want little bud vases. I like all of it. And I do think that's what makes a table interesting. If it's, you know, I mean, not that you need to do this every time, but this is what I like to do at my house. On both sides of the doorway are two family crests that my mom had made for everyone in our family. It's my mom's maiden name, and then another, the Leeds family, which is another part of our family. And they're just really special and interesting. My mom had pillows, needlepoint pillows made of them. And then she had a friend of mine paint them for everybody. And then the two things above it are invitations to Mardi Gras balls. This is the invitation the year I made my debut. So it's like my invitation asking me to be a maid in February 3rd of 2005. Wow, that was a long time ago. But I debuted the summer before Hurricane Katrina. So I don't have any pictures from it because my aunt and uncle had the pictures in their house and they have long gone. And so that's like really the only thing I have from that night because the rest of it was lost in Katrina, I guess. You know, I really don't know where those pictures went, but I assume that's where they have gone. But it's super fun. They're really interesting. And they're just, again, like it's a piece of art without having to be a painting. It's something that holds a lot of meaning to me. And it's funny, my mom has all hers framed in her house from all the years she did it. So it's fun to have something. It's funny, and they're hanging in my mother's dining room. So I guess that's why I hang them in here too, because that's the way she did it. This wallpaper, I actually bought from a designer who had too much, but I always had loved it. It's called Wells Abbott Swedenborg Green. It comes in a lot of different colorways, but I loved the green. And the way that we built this in, instead of putting a sideboard in here, we built a sideboard in, which is great because it houses like all my china. Though I have it all close to me, but I don't have to make sure it's like perfectly arranged all the time. This drawing in the middle is done by a local Birmingham artist, Tony Tully, whose children used to live next door to me. And so we loved it. It was, again, in my parents' house and I stole it. You'll find that that's really a resonating factor in my whole house. The plates on the wall I bought on a trip to Provence a couple of years ago. I loved that oyster plate and really intended it to give it as a gift to my brother-in-law, but then I didn't because it looked so good at my dining room. So I clearly love Majolica and things like that. And like I said, silver trumpet vases. I leave orchids in these all the time because I think it's nice to have something living. I don't always have a centerpiece like this, so it's nice to have something living in here. I think that's important in every room. But really, it's just, everything is a collection of things I just love. Things that have resonated with me, things that I've liked, I've collected over the years. I'm constantly changing things or moving things around. Even like last night, I was moving things around. Not necessarily because y'all were coming, but because I had a great idea of where it should go now. Nothing has to stay where it permanently, it doesn't have to stay permanently where you put it the first time. I did not always want to be a floral designer. I went to Auburn University and taught school for 10 years in the city of Birmingham, and I loved it. If I could do both today, I would still be teaching school and doing flowers, but I got to the point where I started this business kind of as an outlet from teaching school all day, and it grew and grew and grew, and to the point that I couldn't do both things well. So I took a chance. I have a friend that at that time was selling a business and knew exactly what to do and how to help me. And she really pushed me over the edge and said, we're gonna do this. You're gonna start this flower business full time. We do weddings and events. We do about 30 weddings a year. Different events, rehearsal dinners, charity things. So it's not something I really thought I would always do, but as I got into teaching, the more I taught, I realized that that was probably something maybe I couldn't do forever either. So I needed to find something else that was an outlet, and it really evolved from there. But I have always liked to entertain. I've always liked beautiful things and spaces. I always was like the first person to host the birthday party or the baby shower or the wedding shower. So those things have always come very naturally to me. So I guess that's probably where my first love of flowers came from, and entertaining, and it's just kind of been taken to a whole new scale. During COVID, clearly we didn't have any weddings. If we had a wedding, it was for 12 people in a backyard. And so I had a lot of free time on my hands, but also had a lot of people just in the Birmingham community wanting to do something. People wanted to use their hands, they wanted to fill their time. They were really bored, which a lot of us were. And so it started around Christmas. Everyone in Birmingham does their mailboxes for Christmas. It's like a real thing. I don't know that other parts of the country do this, but people decorate their mailboxes. And a friend of mine wanted me to come do it, and I said, I just didn't really want to do it, to be perfectly honest, but I said, if you'll film me doing it, I'll come do your mailbox, so that I can show these other 10 people that want their mailboxes done how to do it, so they'll stop bothering me, essentially. And it kind of took on a life from there during COVID. I posted a video of me doing a mailbox, and from there somebody wanted me to show them how to do their mantle, and there somebody wanted me to show them how to pot orchids or do, pick up flowers from the grocery store and do it, and it became something that people really liked. They're very long videos, and everybody tells me they're too long. Like, people that do social media are like, I can't believe you put a 12-minute video up of you arranging flowers. But people sit and watch them. And I do think people want to know how to do things for themselves. I think, I always tell people, you're gonna call me to do your child's wedding or do this great party at your house. But when it comes to having people for supper or having your mother-in-law over, you should be able to go to the grocery store, pick up 5 or 6 things, put them together, and create something fabulous for your house. You shouldn't have to call somebody every time you need something like that. This was a non-negotiable. I was dying to have a Dutch door. I've always been envious of people with Dutch doors. So this was one of the first things, probably one of the only things I wanted in my house. And it leads out to my covered porch. I'd say screen porch, but I haven't put the screens in yet because I'm not quite sure I actually want to. This used to be a deck, just a regular deck. And this was part of the redesign of the house, was making this usable space 365 days a year, because my house, again, is like 1,450 square feet. It's nice to have this extension, and really I do use it every day. I painted the ceilings haint blue because I'm from New Orleans. I have a lot of New Orleans in me, and you paint your ceilings blue outside to get the spirits away. So my ceilings are blue, and I wanted this to be an area where we could sit and eat meals, you know, have meals together, but also where we could sit and watch a football game, which is what we did last weekend. It was important for me to have a dedicated dining space out here. I found these great chairs, again, off the internet. I'm the queen of finding anything on the internet. And just replaced the cushions. They were just a white cushion, and I replaced them with these green and white stripes. Again, it's kind of corals and greens, pinks and greens, but a little more punchy out here than it is inside. This is a piece of art I've had for, I don't know how many years, 20 years maybe. I bought it at a garage sale. You'll notice also I buy a lot of things at garage sales. And I always loved it, but I felt like it was such a great kind of jumping off point for the whole porch. These dahlias are locally grown by Stone Hollow Farms in Birmingham. We're right in the middle of dahlia season here. And they are incredible. So I had to have some this week. The green jars are ginger jars. They're green, they're fabulous. I use them for flowers all the time, but even when I'm not having a home tour, they sit out here and they just sit empty. I just think they're a great kind of grounding piece for this table. This table is like not anything special. I think it's like from Target or something. I had a hard time finding the right table for out here, so I just bought one. But I really have loved it. And we'll move this a lot of times. I'll move it out back or move it over to the side, and we'll put like a mahjong table up and play mahjong out here. It's really fun. This has probably become my favorite spot in the house because it's so different. We didn't have it before. This planting, or this kind of green space, as I would call it, is an old butcher block on a sewing, like a sewing machine base. I bought it at Scott's Antiques. When I first bought this house, it used to be my kitchen island in my old kitchen. And of course I was never gonna get rid of it. So I thought to put it out here and cover it with plants. I've been collecting these green pots for years. I love them. And so, you know, I could spread them out everywhere, but I feel like when you group things together, they have a big impact. So I've kind of grouped them all up here and kind of fill them with plants. Now, I'm not great at keeping plants alive, but I've done an okay job with these. But I just buy things I like. I try to buy things clearly that are made for shade because it doesn't get any real sun underneath here. But I do. I mean, I like something green. It's very white out here. I chose that on purpose. I like it light and bright. But with that, it needed some green. It needed some living. My bedroom is right behind this wall, so when I have it open, you can see the plants on the other side too, which is so nice. These are just little pieces of art. This is like a cross stitch from my grandmother's house that I love dearly. And this is another local artist, Betty Hodges. And again, like these two kind of pieces of art were probably the jumping off points for the porch and where I was gonna go kind of decorating it per se. I also wanted there to be another sitting area in my house since my main sitting area, I only have one. So it was important for me to have somewhere comfortable that people could gather. We watch a lot of football games out here, but I also wanted a fireplace. The inside of my house does not have a fireplace. That was something that when it came to redesigning, we went back and forth on, but putting one out here seemed like the most logical, but also the best use of space out here. So I've loved having a fireplace out here. My furniture, I literally stole from my parents' house when my mom moved, and I just had all the cushions recovered. And I clearly like green. So everything is very green out here. My pillows I bought from a lady at Round Top. And again, like I just buy what I like. This is really bad. I mean, there's really not a rhyme or reason. I love a citrus. I love citrus. I love flowers. I like all the things that everybody else likes. But I guess I'm just not scared to buy them. I just don't think twice about buying it. I buy it and then I find somewhere for it. So these sat in a closet for like 2 years, and then when I moved back in, was like, oh, the perfect place. I'll stick them on my outdoor sofa. And they do. They like really bring everything together. I chose to put a putting green in. I'm not actually a very good golfer. But this was an existing stone, probably some like cheap stone patio, and during construction someone spilled concrete on it, there was paint on it. It had to come up. I live in Homewood, which is a suburb of Birmingham, but they're very particular about putting more stone and things down. So turf was the best option to be agreeable to the city. And so I was just going to turf it. And the sweet man that came over to do it for me said, I mean, for like $500, we can just make it a putting green. My nephews and two of my godchildren are very avid golfers. And so it seemed like such a fun thing. I also love an activity. Like, it's fun to have something for people to do. So like if we're cooking dinner or having people for dinner, people are out here putting or playing. I mean, the children have now decided that they don't even need the clubs anymore. They just try to like throw the balls and make it into it. Last Sunday, I let the children stand on the roof and putt and golf from the roof. It's just a little crazy around here sometimes, but it does make for a fun activity. It also, this was stone before, and it's very green still out here, but in the winter, it becomes very brown back here, and having something that is constantly green back here really does like help the eye feel like it's brighter on this side of the yard. I don't really have any grass back here, which I prefer. But it does brighten things up. Whereas like the brown or the gray stone really, I don't know, now that I look at it, it feels so dark. And then my sweet girls plant this all, help me. I use some girls that used to work for me, now do planting, and they have, over time, we've planted some things that are annuals, but a lot of perennials. I try to cut for my yard a lot. Not necessarily for my brides because I'd have to have so much, but for myself. But every year we add a few more things so that over the years I'll have a full yard of things. It's hard for me to choose my favorite spot in the house. It depends on the season. It depends on how tired I am. I mean, I would tell you, like after a long work week, my bedroom is my favorite spot. But most of the time, I do spend most of my time in this kitchen and living room that's combined. I hate open floor plans. I really was very against this when we started the new layout of this house. But I love it now. I love being able to be in this one room. This is probably where I spend the most of my time, or on our porch, on the porch in the back. This week I have been out there a ton. But pretty much, I mean, it almost feels like one big room as you come in. So I guess this room is probably my favorite room in the house. This is my bedroom. The design of this room really started, with the curtains, I guess. I knew I was gonna have 3 windows in here, and I wanted this wall to almost appear like a whole wall of curtains. And I started with that. Clearly they're green, and I kind of built off of that. But most of the existing furniture is my existing furniture from my previous house. So it just is filled with, it's just done differently because I changed some fabrics and things like that. I love French style probably in furniture, probably more than anything French or English. But I bought this cane bed years ago. It's probably one of my big purchases. Like when I was still teaching school, I bought a new bed. It's probably one of my first big purchases, and I love it. I don't shy away from color, obviously, even in my bedroom. I think most people try to keep their bedrooms a little more serene, but I do clearly still want color in here. I got this pillow years ago from Leontine Linens in New Orleans. They do just incredible embroidery work, I guess is what we call it, applique work. And have just kind of built the bedroom off of those types of things. Again, it's just a lot of collected things I love, whether it be little pictures of all my little people or my family. This is like a little silver trophy that my grandmother, I think, won like in a tennis championship one year. Again, I stole it from my mother's house. And I have always loved it. And I do tend to keep flowers by my bedside, which is just a little extra, but you know, it's so fun. But I love like a trinket dish, whether it be a silver one or like this little herond one. which I love. I mean, again, it's not that it really serves any purpose, but it adds some depth, it adds some dimension. But we just changed the shades on these lamps. They were a green print, and I just changed them literally like a month ago. But I felt like I needed a little bit of blue in here. And while they're not blue, they're kind of an aqua. I felt like it added another layer of color in here, but it wasn't such a big contrast. It almost seemed like I had too much green in here before, so I really like the kind of aqua of the lampshades now. I love my rug. My rug is from this man on Etsy, and he makes them to the size you need. A friend of mine had one in blue, and I coveted it. So when it came time to buy rugs, I had to throw a lot of rugs out after the storm, so I was replacing a lot of things. I really wanted an Ushak. I wanted a wool rug, but I didn't necessarily want it to look like the ones in the rest of the house, which are much more traditional looking. I like the geometric of it with the florals. It's kind of fun. I bought this pink flamingo. My favorite animals are pigs and flamingos, which makes probably no sense to anybody. But I bought this Audubon print at Birmingham. Has an amazing antiques and garden show every fall. And I bought this probably, 10 years ago from a lady that sells Audubon prints every year. And it just felt so me. It's kind of lived in a lot of spaces in my house, but mostly it's always lived in a bedroom. And it's so fun and bright. I just think it kind of encapsulates my house pretty well. All the colors in it. This is my primary bathroom. We actually added this bathroom. It didn't exist. This is actually where my kitchen was, I think. And this is one of the big changes we made to have a real, true primary bathroom in this house. I added the wallpaper, which is Chelsea Textiles Wisteria, which I love. I like how small the print is. I have a lot of bigger prints in wallpaper, so this one feels a little more delicate. I used just the same marble that I have in the kitchen. We bought 2 or maybe even 3 slabs of it and used it in all the bathrooms too. I just didn't want to overcomplicate things. I painted the trim and the cabinets the same color that you'll find in the paper, which I thought was really fun. I don't have a ton of wall space in here, so I don't have a lot of art hung, but I don't need to. I also don't have like traditional towel bars and things like that because I didn't really want to junk up the walls too much. We built this great big shower, which was awesome. And then on my counters and here I have these fun sconces from Pookie Lighting. It's a British company that I just think are a little fun. I mean, I could have picked a plain sconce, but again, like, why pick a plain one when you can get one that's a hand holding a torch? And then I found this mirror at Anthropology again. I think that's where it's from. But again, it just like looked so fun. I had, gone in other people's houses and they have beautiful, just standard gold mirrors. But that just didn't seem quite like me. I needed something that had like a little more flair to it. So that was kind of how we arrived at it, but I like it to feel layered. Like I've said, I want something living in every room. So I do keep flowers here a lot. I do keep an orchid here. I use like this is like a random little dish I found probably at a thrift store or a estate sale, but I use it as my soap container, just for something fun. I don't have traditional bath mats. I use little Ushak rugs in all my bathrooms. I don't like a traditional bath mat. This is my twin guest room where all the children stay. I wanted twin beds in here because the house isn't that big. And I find that people don't like to share a double or a queen bed. But when you have twins, you can have more people. The starting off point of this room was the twin beds, which there's a real story here that I stole them from my friend Reagan, one of my best friends, Reagan. They were downsizing and moving, and I had always loved these beds they had in one of their guest bedrooms. And so I just asked her what was happening to the twin beds, and she said she didn't know, and so I took them. I bought them. I did buy them from her. And I just think they're so fun. They're comfortable, but they're unique, and they really like give you a huge point of interest when you come in. I knew I didn't want curtains in this room because of the way I was going to have to place the beds up against the walls. The windows are kind of an odd placement, and so I knew I wasn't going to be able to put the twin beds right next to each other. So I knew I wanted Roman shades, and I had a lady on Etsy make these. These are Sister Parish Dolly, and I was very particular about how they had to be made. I wanted a scallop at the bottom, but again, I wanted a blue because there is so much pink in here. I kind of wanted a blue, which I think is great. It's really a mix of fabrics, things that I already had, like the €2 I had on an existing queen bed in the old house, and I just split them apart and put them on here, but I think they really add some depth and pattern. This rooster was a gift from my father. He likes to buy art as Christmas presents, which is a wonderful thing. And this rooster has lived in all portions of my house. He's lived in the hallway, he lived in the kitchen at one point. And he's just really fun. I love him. And he ends up being kind of a focal point as you walk in. You know, he's loud and proud and in charge. Other than that, the art in this room is just a real mix of either gifts from people or things that I've collected over the years. I have like a framed invitation from our ballet guild, our Ball of Roses. I chaired it one year, and a friend framed the invitation for me, which is like such a kind gift. And then underneath it, a friend was painting, and she painted a flower arrangement that I had done, and then she sent it to me, which I love. And then just some of the other stuff is just things I've collected. I love this old cross stitch. It's the Lord's Prayer that I found at a French flea market, and it's really fun, and it's very, very old, you can tell, but like amazing. I'm too scared to even have it reframed because I'm afraid when you open it up it'll just crumble. This chest is so funny. It's from Wayfair. It looks like so special. I love it because it feels like it's custom, and it's got the pelicans flying on the front of it, but it was kind of the perfect match. I'd had like a smaller table in here, and it just needed a bigger piece of furniture here. And also, like, I need the storage. My house is not big, and I have a lot of things, so I needed storage. I needed another chest. So this is a really fun one. It was a great find. I was not expecting to find it on Wayfair, but it was. It's really fun. Okay, this is my hallway bathroom. The showstopper of this room is the wallpaper. It's by a company called Elliston House, which one of the girls that runs, or whose company this is, I taught Bible study to growing up. She's from Birmingham. And so kindly, I had wanted some paper for a long time. And then when I started to redo the house, was like, we have to send you some. I want you to have it. And so she let me pick out whatever I wanted, which was so great. But it's so wonderful to have her things in my house because I've known her for so long. This paper is called Meadow by Elliston House, and it is so special. I really haven't even put a piece of art on the wall in here because the paper is art. It's so great. We did a pedestal sink in here instead of something with a cabinet just because it's not that long. It's not that big of a bathroom. And instead of putting a linen closet back in this bathroom, behind this door, we built out like a full armoire that's in the bathroom. You can't see it right now, but which is great. So I didn't need any more storage because I have a ton of storage over here now. But I think it like allows for the bathroom to feel a little more open since it's so narrow. My sconces are from Amazon, which just goes to show that you can buy a sconce off Amazon if you put a nice shade on it. It suddenly looks expensive. This valance, again, ordered. I have this lady on Etsy who will kind of makes you what you want. And she made it for me, and I measured incorrectly. No one's surprised that knows me that I measured incorrectly. And it was too short. And so I bought some trim off Amazon and sewed it on the bottom so that it would be long enough. Just goes to show you can like fix your mistakes when you're really bad at measuring like I am. But I also think it adds like such texture. It's kind of a happy mistake. I'm glad it actually turned out that way. The best compliment that someone can give me about my home, I've already received, and it's that it's so you. Every time someone walks in, oh my gosh, I'd know who lived here if you weren't standing at the door. Like, it does, it feels like me, it looks like me, it looks like the way I dress. It's very indicative of who I am. Home to me is somewhere that you belong. Having not lived in my home for 2 years, I felt really displaced. I lived in a shoebox apartment with half my things, and the minute I moved back in, literally the boxes were still filled, nothing was really out, but I felt like I was at home. I felt like I was back with my things, where I was comfortable. It really does a number on you to be displaced for a long period of time. So home is where I belong. It's a place that I feel comfortable, but not only I feel comfortable, all the people in my life feel comfortable. I have 17 godchildren that spend a lot of them spend a lot of time here, and each one of them has been so happy that I'm back home. They'll come in the door and be like, oh, they call me Nene. Nene, I love it. Like, I love being here. And I think that's like a true testament to what home is. It's somewhere that you feel comfortable, but also the people you love feel comfortable.
Hi, Homeworthy, I'm Heather.
And I'm Matt. Welcome to our New Mexico home.
Come on in, we can't wait to show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Heather French.
And I'm Matt French. We're the design duo behind French and French Interiors.
Welcome to our home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So what first drew us to the home was this huge wall of ivy that you'll see out in the courtyard. It's a really unique feature for Santa Fe, and I know that's an odd thing to kind of fall in love with for a house, but it was really special. I love gardens. So when we walked in the home for the first time, it needed life, you know? It had good bones. We could see what it could become. It didn't really have much of a soul anymore.
To us, into our eyes, you know, it was a mess.
It was a beautiful mess. It was like a perfect mess.
Yeah, but it was well taken care of. There had been remodels over the years that were pretty disconnected, so it just didn't have a lot of continuity, and you know, it had a lot of potential to be a big family house, and we saw it as that, even though it was sort of broken up.
And so that was really something we were looking for. We didn't want a bad remodel. We just wanted something that hadn't been touched yet. So it was perfect for us.
I would say the architectural style of the home is territorial New Mexican, which is really a mix of Pueblo style architecture here, mixed with sort of a federal or neoclassical style.
You know, Santa Fe it's such a grounded, earthy place, and we love living here. It's an honor to live here. I think there's a casualness about Santa Fe that we love, you know, and I try to pull that through in many different ways in how we design in general, especially in our own home. I don't want to live in a stuffy house at all. I don't want to use coasters. I don't want to have to worry about the dogs getting on the couch and, you know, things getting messed up. It's a very real home. And I think Santa Fe really grounds us in that way.
Yeah, I feel like if you can't deal with like dust and chaos, then, you know, it's probably not the place for you. And, you know, the Western landscape in general, I think really, you know, either draws people in or spits them out, but there's something about like the expansiveness, you know, like it's a different type of abundance, you know. There's something about living here that I think definitely has shaped us. We've been here 20 years, and we love to travel, but we love to come back, so. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think, you know, one of the obvious things is Santa Fe is, you know, the third largest art community in the country. And so we have access to really incredible artists and, you know, potters and anything that you could imagine. And so we really look to these local artists for that inspiration as well, for sure.
This is our entry room, but it also really works for us as like a library and a area where Isla studies overflow in big parties. We really come in here and check out a book.
Yeah, so like Matt said, this is the first room that you enter into when you come into the home, and we really wanted it to feel dramatic and cozy. And we have a lot of books. We're old school, we love books, and we have a really great art collection as well. And I think this is the room that holds most of it. So you'll see that as you come through the space with us.
We put in these cabinets, and we really like an area to throw things and store things rather. But we really entertain out of this room a lot. So a lot of our serving things we keep. We love to have punches. It's fun, kind of reminds me of my southern upbringing. We would always have party punches. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, we have a great collection of different pieces of pottery that we've collected from our local pueblos, which has been really fun for Matt and I. When we travel, we try to pick something up. This is like a micaceous bowl that you can see has got like the fire kisses on it. What else? I used to collect a lot of decanters when I was drinking more, but now I just keep air in there. They're just pretty.
Atmospheric level air. This basket we just got from a new dear friend and one of our favorite places, Nantucket. Our buddy Kathleen Hay just sent this, and it's a lighthouse basket that the lighthouse keepers would make to sell in town back in the day in Nantucket.
Yeah, and then this piece right here is a great piece that we got from the folk art market here in Santa Fe that happens once a year. There's hundreds of artists that come from all over the world. So we got that from there. And
so Heather's gotten into silver lately, which has become a fun thing for me to pick around and find. This is a 1940s-ish Mexican sterling coffee service set. You know, I started collecting brass when I was a kid, and I like ducks. I do like ducks. That's one of the things I like to find. I don't know. Duck Head was a big brand when I was a kid, and it was like this aspirational, like preppy, like outdoors gentleman sort of thing, maybe is what drew me to ducks, yeah. But brass in general. Heather's gotten into, we love finding these great little like woven flat pieces that are a part of northern New Mexico tradition to weave these little flat pieces. This is a good example of like Acoma Pueblos like line work. They do all this really great geometrical line work. This horse is from Taos. It's seen some love, taken some tumbles.
so we wanted this really dramatic color here in the library. So we used Carriage House Red by Benjamin Moore in a high gloss. And added in the lighting, the brass lighting from Visual Comfort, and then decided to wallpaper the ceiling with our dear friend Claire Stasak's new line from Centered by Design, which we love. And we refaced the fireplace, which was really fun. We just added a brick detail and plastered this room, which was nice to do. So this space we really use for a lot of overflow dining. The kids really end up gathering here. We'll have a bunch of kids hanging out and, goofing off, being wild. I love these chairs. We did like a different fabric out back than in back. They're by Coley Home. They're really, really comfortable and durable and beautiful. This Theodore Alexander table is really fun. It leafs out and folds in. It's like a little puzzle. It's really cute. And then throughout the house, you're gonna see quite a bit of Swedish Gustavian pieces that we've collected over the years. This piece from the 1700s is one of my favorites. I love the paint detail on it. We have a friend here that collects these, and then we'll send them our way when she finds something that she knows that we'll love. You're also going to see this arch detail that we've added throughout the house. You'll see this repeating throughout the space as well. So come on into our dining room.
So this space we think of as like a dining hall. It's like a hallway that sort of didn't really work before with a regular table out in the space. So we did this banquette here. We've had like 15 people at this table. We use it a lot. We love it.
This hallway felt like a waste of space. It was really large and overscaled to not use it. And so we did this custom banquette up along the wall and then brought it out a little bit, you can see, so that you get enough seating all around the table. And then use this really fun Schumacher fabric and then a really durable mohair on the seat, which we love. And like Matt said, this is really where all of our dinner parties happen. It's messy and fun, and nobody has to worry about what happens here. It's great.
Yeah.
So I found these really great sconces, which I felt like was a little bit of a nod to Santa Fe with the arrows on it that I love. I found them on Cherish, and then we added this really great Cooper Classics mirror, which I think just kind of bounces a lot of light in the space, and you have the kitchen adjacent. So it just makes it feel a little bit more pulled together from the kitchen into the dining area. And then we have these great lights from Beata Human, which we love. They're the dodo lamps, which are so fun.
But a little more on this table. This is a reproduction. Walter Anderson, one of my favorite artists, out of Ocean Springs, Mississippi. It's a big inspiration to me. This guy, just lifestyle and work-wise. And Heather surprised me with this. And these woodpeckers really like such a totem animal for me.
So this hutch really kind of houses our candles and things like that for dinner parties, and then just, kind of like the junk drawer. And this piece is another Gustavian piece. I love how it's this demi-lune shape here, and we have these, it's just really dainty and pretty and a sweet piece. You gotta have storage. But when it comes to our sense of style, I would definitely say we're maximalists. We're definitely traditionalists. We like things to feel sophisticated, but still playful and relatable and family friendly. I feel like that's the key to every house that we do. And this was the first house that we've lived in where we were actually really able to do what we do, which was great. So we didn't hold back. We used all the color, all the patterns, everything that we loved, and it was a blast to be able to do.
I would only add like eclectic and sort of collected. I feel like what we do is like a bit more subtle in the use of maximalism. I don't know, not to sort of become professorial about it all, but I don't know. It's a tricky one to do,
Yeah.
It's like trying to pick a favorite of something.
Yeah, I would say we're maximalists, but
Yeah.
he's a collector.
Wow. We're maximalists. Now coming into the kitchen here, this was about a 28-inch pocket door that we were able to open out without changing the structure any. So yeah, it really opened up the flow into this without making it sort of an open concept, but we can come in now to the kitchen space we love so much.
Yeah, we're not big fans of open concept kitchens. I like the kitchen to be separate and not part of the living space. So because of that reason, we really we needed a lot of storage in here, and we wanted to have a eat-in kitchen as well as an island. So we were able to accomplish that now with this new layout that we did. We also have, this is where we store all of our china, which we use every day. And I love how this turned out. Now we're in the kitchen, and this is one of my favorite spots in the house. I love this detail of the window and this backsplash here. We didn't want to move the window, which was existing, and so we added this backsplash to kind of define the area, and then we did a custom brass sink.
I'm pretty lucky. It's one of her favorite places.
Except he does all the dishes.
But yeah, well, it's a fair trade. I love an early morning, and I love to be in here in the morning. It's great, even though we don't get good east light. It's just such a great place to be. And one of my favorite things to drink my morning coffee out of is this Kit Kemp's Wedgwood collection. We love Kit Kemp.
It's called Mythical Creatures. It's really cute and hand painted and folky, which is something that we like to keep in mind as we're collecting things.
This plate right here, speaking of hand painted, is like a portrait of us at our country place. But it's like a portrait of us at the Grand Hotel in Mackinac, which is like a fun memory.
Yeah. So I had this done for Christmas for the family when we moved from our house south of town into town. And she did a great job of taking a portrait of us and then putting the house behind it, which was really, really sweet. And we collect cutting boards and all sorts of like different types of useful kitchen items, which is great. We have the collection of Jell-O molds, which I love. And I love how it just adds some dimension to the space, but it's still utilitarian. And then we have the Duval brass rods here, where we have our ristras, which is a very New Mexican thing. And yeah, this is really the heart of the home and where all of our meals happen. We have breakfast here every morning, and it's a great, fun, beautiful, light and bright space.
So we added this hood here in diamond finished plaster, and we love this table here. We use it as an island. It's from France. We're not sure like how it got all this like great patina, but there's like this interesting scoop out of there, and like someone put some time in working at this table. And then we really wanted like a eat-in sort of breakfast nook, so we were able to squeeze in this little corner here, built-in banquette, and another little Swedish table here. But we love how these wheels on this chair let it like really come into the little tight spot like this.
Yeah, so I found this Swedish table at an antique store here in Santa Fe and loved how just worn and kind of buckled and painted and it is. I feel like, there's been a million breakfasts and dinners here and lots of conversation. It's a great piece that we found.
Yeah, this is another little funny spot. I feel like we fit 15 people in here too. It's great at a party where banquettes, people can just like all pile in together and sit at the cliffside here at this Slim Aaron's piece here. We love to kind of like be a part of this, this little scene here.
We love Slim Aaron's. You'll see a lot of photos of his throughout our house, and we like how it represents lifestyle and like living the good life. This is the room that we call our blue room, and it's probably the most used room in the house. We'll eat dinner in here at night when it's just the three of us, and it's feeling casual and cozy, and after a long day, it's a really nice place to kick up your feet and watch TV and cuddle up. So in here, we added all of the millwork on the walls, which was a really easy way to cozy the space and really make it feel a bit more purposeful. And we also added this Elizabeth Aiken wallpaper on the ceiling, which I love. It's one of my favorite wallpapers. and then really layered a lot of pattern with fabrics throughout the space and layered rugs. So it really gives it that cozy feel. We use Sewn Britain and Sister Parish, as well as Schumacher on all of the pillows on the sofa and chairs as well, which I actually found these chairs on Cherish, which was a great find. And then we have this ottoman that we'll kick our feet up on and really spend a lot of time in here. It's a great spot. So I think one of the tricks when you want to use a lot of pattern in a space is to make sure the patterns are really scaled differently and appropriately. So you want to have a large scale pattern and then a small scale pattern and a medium scale pattern. And you want to really make sure that you're adding in solids as well and using a really grounding color in the space. One of the things that I like about this space is that we use blue, hence the blue room. And I think that when you do that, there is a way to use lots of color, but when you do that and you're using one color as the main grounding color in a space, it really makes the space feel calm, which is what we wanted in this room.
In here we have some more Slim Aaron's photographs, and we kind of just love that like aspirational lifestyle he was capturing. These are all from the his Riviera's collection of wealthy Europeans doing beautiful things.
So now we're walking into the living room, which is the biggest room in the house. And one that we also really wanted to make it feel a bit more scaled down and cozy. So we added in this really great drapery to help make it feel a little bit more human scaled. And when we didn't have this, the room just felt huge and vast. And so we layered in the drapery as well as all of this furniture. And this is really the room where we have lots of parties and people hanging out.
Yeah, our big Christmas party, we usually set the bar up right here, and there'll be like lines going in every direction. Yeah. This room will be just like, I don't know, like 50 people in here.
Yeah, our last Christmas party was about 200 people, and so this was completely packed. And the kids will come here and play games and watch movies and, really kind of pile up, and it's a really fun space. I love this room. Yeah, so we added the wallpaper, this really beautiful grass cloth wallpaper, which is by Elizabeth Aiken. And I love how it just added a lot of texture and pattern to the space.
We like to cozy up to this gas fireplace here in the wintertime. This is a really fun spot. There's been a lot of fun memories here. This is where we put our Christmas tree, actually, and open presents. And yeah, this is kind of like a Christmas room in that regard,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
The main mantle that we decorate.
Yeah, so we used a lot of soft fabrics in here. We used mohairs and velvets to really kind of continue with that very cozy feel. And then with the pillows, added in a lot of pattern in here as well. And this room is really open to the rest of the house. And so, it's a bit more of a formal space. Our pets really like it quite a bit. It's light and bright and airy. They hang out in here a lot. And we use it a little bit more for our personal purposes as like a movie night or something like that when we're having people over.
Yeah, and actually we have two pieces in here that sort of illustrate something we love to do for clients, and is that this Baker sofa here, Heather found at a local shop, and it's such a good example of why we encourage people to buy really well-made, North Carolina furniture, because, that was someone's grandmother's piece that's totally worth covering and investing in on, as well as this George Smith piece that, really can last for so many generations with, it's worth the investment and worth recovering one day.
Yeah, so when we bought it, it was a bright pink linen. It was pretty ugly. And so we recovered it in this off-white mohair and then skirted it. We did this like really nice large box pleat skirt, which I love. And you know, like there's been spills on it and all sorts of things, and you can just wipe it off of mohair, so you can have a white couch with all the pets. So we let our animals on everything. They're, you know, a part of the family, and we don't tell them that they can't get on the sofa or the bed or anything. And so I just put a beautiful blanket down and let them do their thing, you know. So yeah, I have this like nice silk velvet blanket that we have on there to help with, you know, them when they're dirty. And we just take that off and wash it, and it's easy.
You know, another thing that we did in this room to sort of bring the ceiling down and make it feel like a better scale is to add these monumental visual comfort woven light chandeliers here. You can't really tell how big they are in this space, but they're massive. And we kind of in a way created like a different ceiling height in that regard with these. We love them.
And it really helped kind of bring down the scale of the room to put in such big pieces. Yeah, so this butterfly table by Theodore Alexander, it's a really beautiful marquetry, and you know, can hide remotes and stuff like that. But I bought it because my dad used to call my mom his butterfly, and so this reminds me of them. I love this piece. We have these
Several examples of these Dutch colonial pieces that there's a local antiques importer that looks out for round tables for us every time he travels over there. But most of these are hand carved, and they're interesting. They're copies from turned pieces, Dutch turned pieces that the local carpenters there in Indonesia and the surrounding islands would carve by hand to match like the turned pieces.
Yeah, yeah, you can really see here like how I'll move that for you, but how inspired they were by what they were seeing, but then didn't have the proper tools. And so you can see all of the hand carved aspects of this, which is from the 1700s. I love this piece.
And the one on the other side of the sofa has got an interesting shape to it. This is another Dutch colonial piece with a carved pedestal. But one of the interesting things about it is it has this basin down here that would hold water to keep ants from being able to crawl up the table. Love this table. This is this another one from her? One of these Gustavian pieces. It's almost got like an Art Deco like reading to it, but we love this one. I hate to say it, but I did cut the legs off of it to fit it under the TV. But I still got them. If anybody wants this piece, I'll put them back on them for you.
So this piece by Blaine Macaulay I really love. She came out, she's from Atlanta, but she came out here and did a artist retreat residency and was at the Georgia O'Keeffe house up in Abiquiu. And this was her rendition of the Georgia O'Keeffe house. And I love how she added these little ducks, because we love ducks and birds. We have chickens in our house.
This is a great Adirondack piece. It really reminds me a lot of the Appalachian like bent willow pieces I grew up with, and like willow furniture.
I don't know. I love this house, and it took me a little while to fall in love with it, but I do. I love this house. But I think my absolute favorite thing is the gardens. Every time I walk out there, I was just saying the other day, like I kind of can't believe that we get to live in that space. So that's my favorite.
My favorite thing about this house is kind of where it is, you know, being so close to the mountains and the trails. I can go in any direction basically and be out, but like inside the house, if I'm being like 100%, I'm gonna say I really love having like being able to have like a studio space and the garage out there, you know. I mean, like, not the joke, but it's just like, it is my favorite, if we're being like straight up favorite. But
and then I would say the space that we all hang out together the most is our blue room. We call it the blue room. It's the den. So now we're outside in our back patio, which is a really great, cool, it's north facing, so it tends to be a little bit cooler on this side, which is great. We eat dinner out here and just have like a loungy area, and our daughter Isla will hang up a sheet and do some outdoor movies out here, which is really fun to see. Out here in this courtyard, we added a lot of espalier apples as well as lavender and echinacea, which is something that grows really well here in Santa Fe. And then I found this antique set at a local antique shop that I adore here. And we redid all of the flatwork throughout the property and added all of the stonework as well. There used to be railroad ties throughout it, and it just kind of helps ground the space.
So we actually opened up this wall and had this gate made here to be able to walk out this way, which we love to have this like entryway moment. Framed here by these wireless Pookie lamps here. These are, you can recharge them, they're great, and we just love them. You'll see them all over.
So one of the entire reasons that we bought the house was this ivy wall, which is really unique for New Mexico. We walked back here and fell in love with it and decided this was our place, so we named it the Ivy House.
This wisteria actually was here somewhere else, but we had it moved to here, and then this one's going to catch up to it. But we did a lot of work on the landscape here, and
yeah, originally there was about 36 dead pinon trees that needed to come out. It was just a fire hazard, and so the entire backyard really needed to be rethought. And so we wanted more entertaining area, so we added that gateway, and then all of this flat work, as well as this big grassy area, which we love. So we host a lot out here and have little bonfires and, lounge and read and, just have a relaxing time. We're out here almost every evening, out here in the vegetable garden and just kind of hanging out. So down here are our vegetable gardens, which are really great. We didn't have a super productive year. We had lots of flowers, but not so many vegetables. So come on this way.
And down here is our fire pit. We use a lot too. This kind of a on the way moment. We're out here a lot. We added this bridge here. The water actually flows cut through here when it rains pretty hard, and all of this yellow, I think this is chickweed, I could be wrong, but all this yellow flower here is all like been seeded and is an unirrigated part of the landscape.
So here's where we have our vegetable garden. We spend quite a bit of time out here. We got a lot of flowers in general this year, but not so many vegetables, like I was saying. It happened to be a cold spring and early summer. And yeah, this space is all maybe a year old. All of these trees that we planted, it's about a year old, little over a year. And then we also planted a fruit orchard as well, with lots of peaches and apples and pomegranate and all sorts of different fruit trees. So I love this powder room. It's under the stairs. It's got like a really kind of magical quality about it. It's Mythical Creatures by Kbiz, which we love. And one of the things that I love about this space is that it really took a wallpaper artist that knew how to install wallpaper to pull this off. We have a lot of angles on this in this room. And so we started the pattern in the middle of the ceiling and then wrapped it all the way down the room. And then he came in and painted a lot of the details back on that had to be cut out to make it work. It's a really great space.
A couple more things about this powder room. We did this in several parts of the house where we had like a ceramic towel or just something that didn't work, that we actually float a bed of sand over that and put a thin brick on top, which is a love trick, a trick we love to do, a love trick. Indeed, we love brick, you know, and it's a real vernacular of the Southwest to have brick floors, and so nice and rustic. And then we also have this vanity here that we added, and these pendant lights. We do this a lot where we'll drop pendant lights down on either side of a vanity instead of one or two on the walls. Josef Frank magazine stand, and yeah, little mythical spot under the stairs. Love this little powder room.
I think that the two of us have always been creative, for sure. We, you know, Matt and I have been together for a long time. I don't even know how many years, a long time.
19 years next week.
Yeah, it's our anniversary coming up, I forgot.
If you ever need to.
We were together 7 years before that, though.
Yeah,
so a long time. And, you know, we really grew up together, and we remodeled our first house together in Florida, and then came out to New Mexico together, and Matt built our home, and from the ground up. And it was on the top of this really beautiful hill, and Matt and I we're big dreamers, I would say, and we're not the type of people to let something stop us. I think there's like a certain sense of like, we got this, that we both have. And so Matt really was able to make these dreams come true by building this beautiful home that we had before we moved here. And so that was really, I think that journey and building that house together was really the impetus for the business, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, both definitely creative. She studied medical anthropology, traveled in natural medicine. I got a mass communications degree, and then went straight into construction after that. Worked in an earth ship and got to work with solar, and then so renewable energy and off-grid homes was a big, was my first career. And we didn't have a whole lot of budget, but we noticed so much of it was going to shelter magazines, and so much so they're becoming like furniture pieces themselves, And yeah, when we remodeled that house, and it just being, I was an electrician and being around construction and figuring out how to like scale drawings and use drawings, we like started playing around with just pencil drawings, scaled rooms, and figuring out how, you would design like that together. And yeah, I think we had like early careers, like we went into our careers pretty young.
Yeah, and we bought a house together when I was, I want to say 24 or so. And then we moved out here, and I wanted to pivot careers, and I emailed every interior design firm in town and said, look, I just want to be around this. I want experience with it, and I'll sweep floors, I'll do whatever it takes. And I ended up getting a job, was with them for a few years until our daughter went into elementary school, and then went out on our own. And it was the best decision we could have ever made.
Definitely.
I think we're really good at working together. I think I definitely wear the design pants in the family, but Matt is really good at layering, and I would say Matt's like the type of creative person that's really good at anything that he does. And so I also think that Matt really brings a groundedness to our design. He's also a little bit more glam than I am.
Glam, yeah.
Yeah, he is a little bit more glam.
Yeah, when we first started, I would get all the like modern jobs.
Yeah, he did all the modern jobs at first, and I that would just, minimalism was like not my thing at all, but he was able to kind of temper that and figure that out. And now as the business has grown and we've started to do more personal projects, he really takes those on, and I take on the more of the design projects. But yeah, we make a really good team, and I think this house is a really good example of us working together.
When we decided we wanted to start this business, like one of the things Heather really read a lot about, besides, developing our eye and like, the books and magazines, like you would think interior designers would be into, there was like a wave of like how to market, how to start your own business, how to run your own business, and like really thinking through all of that. And, you know, she was still at home with the Islanders, like dove into really understanding the nuts and bolts of all of that, you know, because it's such a big part of the business. I mean, being able to put together a house or a room is really like a small part of it all. But,
Sure.
you know, Heather is really like, you know, it's in her DNA and everything she is, like become like a great business leader. And I mean, really, that's, you know, wearing pants or not. She mainly wears dresses, but, you know, she like has really like been at the helm, you know, especially since we did this house and we're working on personal projects more. But, you know, built a great team. People really rely on, you know. She's really worn the pants doing that while she did that.
Yeah, but we eat, sleep, and breathe design, I would say, you know, and we have an amazing team behind us at the firm that makes it all come to life. So now we're coming into the primary bedroom, which we wanted to use really much more muted colors in here and layer pattern. So one of our favorite aspects of this room is this Coley Home 4-poster bed. I love it. It feels like sleeping in a cave. It's really cozy and fun. And we did full height drapery in here with this Beata Human fabric, and then layered in this sewn Britain stripe pillow fabric. We like to use velvet quite a bit, so we have the silk velvet blanket on the bed, which is really lovely. Our dogs sleep up here with us, and they perch up on this little sofa at the end of the bed, which I love. And they'll, you know, one of them is usually between us, and two are on the sofa, which makes it a full house. And we have this Gustavian piece here, which one of the interesting things about this is that it was meant for traveling. And so it actually lifts apart and becomes two different like steam trunks, which is pretty neat. And we have a Christopher Spitzmiller lamp here with a Penny Morrison lampshade. And then we have another Cooper Classics mirror here. And then this little beaded piece was from Matt's mom's shop that she closed down a long time ago.
Yeah. Back in Fairhope. Yeah, so when she traveled all over the world and would collect pieces, and I think she gave this to Heather.
Yeah,
full of first Christmases.
Full of essential oils, and she had a really great import and hot sauce shop down there. That's one of my favorite pieces that we have.
Love this chair and ottoman here. This is from Jim at Cachet out of LA. And love this piece. This ottoman's kind of my slipper chair where I put my boots on one at a time, just like everybody else. And this great early American convex mirror. I found it at an antique store in Florida some years ago, and it's traveled with us from house to house. I don't know if it's actually from the era that it's kind of like a Federalist, but anyways, whether it's like an authentic antique or not, if it's got the patina, we can put it on a wall. So this is a Kbiz style fireplace that you see throughout New Mexico. This is a newer, updated version. They're usually wood burning. This one is not, but it's got this diamond plaster on it, which is very traditional for New Mexico, and we just have it styled with plants and some fun knickknacks. So now we're headed into the primary bathroom. So this bathroom was originally done in the 1990s. This whole part of the house was, and it had, that look. It had a lot of tile and glass block, and yeah.
And it just needed to be updated, but the layout was great of the space. And so we kept the layout and we just did cosmetic upgrades, which was easy to do. And, you know, originally there was like steps up to the bathtub. And so we did this freestanding bathtub, which we love. Both Matt and I take baths all the time. And then we did this vanity, this custom vanity that we adore. Has tons of storage, and we brought the storage to go all the way up to the ceiling. And we really wanted this space to, it has really great natural light in it. And so we really wanted this space to feel like a part of the garden. And so we did the Sewn Britain vining wallpaper throughout the entire space, all the way up onto the ceiling. And then added in this really beautiful Sewn Britain striped drapery as well. So we found this really fun cast Sewn Britain lighting, which we thought was really playful and cute. And then we brought in these Cooper Classics mirrors as well, and Waterworks faucets. The hardware is from Modern Matter. It's all sand cast brass. And yeah, and then we had a remnant piece of stone that we used, and it pulled together really seamlessly. Matt remodeled this in like 4 weeks.
Yeah, luckily it was just surfaces and fixtures and finishes, and didn't really have to move anything around or any real construction.
Yeah, it was easy.
Yeah.
Another aspect of this bathroom that we love is this green marble mosaic on the floor. I was in a historic train station somewhere, I can't remember, and saw something really similar, and then we patterned this after that. I love how it feels contemporary, but it's very traditional and really stand the test of time. So when we first met, we were at Auburn University in Alabama, and I was sitting on the concourse on this brick wall, and this guy started walking over to me, and I was the only person on the concourse, and he came and sat really like weirdly close, and I thought, okay, weirdo.
It's like, hey buddy, get away from her.
No, I was totally by myself. He came and sat really close, and then he didn't say anything, and I thought, like, what is happening? This is strange. And then he asked me for the time, and I looked, and I lived in Florida. I had just gotten back from Florida, and it was 11:11, and that was the wrong time. It was an hour earlier. And so I told him 11:11, and I thought he was late for a class, and he just like bolted and took off. I was like, okay, odd. And then soon after that, we ended up meeting at a party, and he was dressed in this like white cowboy outfit, and I thought, you look fun. That was that.
What do you mean I was like sitting close to you though? Like,
you came and sat like oddly close
well,
to
you
me.
also like, so the quad was like the zone to like hang. It was like,
yeah, but there was literally nobody else out there.
yeah, but you are like in our like prime spot, right?
Yeah, sure.
So it's not like, I mean, I came and sat, I mean, like close, like.
Yeah, you came and sat right next to me.
I don't know. Can we redo that? No, just kidding, like that. No, okay. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty auspicious. It was like 11:11, but like.
Yeah, so that's our number now.
Yeah, that's the meet cute. So this is our guest room here. Another room with a view.
Yeah, this is a really great space, and originally this wall was drywall, and we found this Tessnul paper that we love that exactly matched the plaster of the walls, which is really hard to do because it comes from a specific part of the mountain as they're excavating it. And so we got really lucky that we didn't have to plaster this wall. And yeah, so we have this 4-poster bed in here. And it's just a really sweet guest room. Yeah, so we decided to go with this buffalo check drapery in here, which is by Beata Human. And It's like this updated kind of pink, red, white, and blue theme in here, with lots of florals and color and pattern. I think one of the things that I really love about this space is that it does have a lot of color and pattern in it, but it feels sophisticated. And I think that when you play with colors and kind of mute things down a little bit, that kind of lends itself to that sophisticated aspect that you want to aim for when you're using a lot of color and pattern. So this is the Wonderland part of the house. It's very colorful and bright and airy. And this is Isla's room. This is our daughter, Isla. And I thought it'd be really fun for her to take you around her room and tell you all of the things that she loves about it.
Welcome to my bedroom. When we were designing my bedroom, we really wanted it to feel sort of bright and fun and airy as I was going through my high school career. So I kind of told my mommy that I wanted a sunset, sunrise type of feel. And I think my favorite detail is all around on the corners of my walls. We have these beautiful floral and star designs that I helped design with my mom. I kind of love personalizing a space that's already designed. So what I have kind of done with my bedroom is a lot of flowers and just like, as I am a teenager, it gets very hectic and very chaotic in my room. Clothes go everywhere. But one of my favorite things that I love about it is it always looks beautiful no matter how much of a mess it is. I love it. It's beautiful.
So our dear friends Gordon and Dunning did a collection with Dillard's about a year ago, and this was part of that collection. And then we layered it with a silk velvet blanket as well, and then a vintage Suzanne custom pillow that we had made, which is backed with a Sister Parish fabric. And then we found these beautiful plant stands over here on Cherish, which is, you know, a site that I love. It's a great place to find unique pieces. And then her 4-poster bed was actually in a client's house that it was a hotel that we were doing, and we couldn't use this bed anymore, and Isla fell in love with it, and they graciously gifted this bed to her. It was very, very sweet. Here we have a custom vintage chair that I found at an antique store that Isla actually fully designed this piece where she did the mohair on the back and then did a really fun toile fabric on the front and then a stripe on the seat. It's very personalized and very, very her. And this is where she does her homework and makeup and, you know, things like that.
One of my favorite photographers is Slim Aarons, and some of my favorite pieces are the summer photos that he does. Here is one, I'm pretty sure it's in Italy. And then this one's also in Italy. I love this like laid back, warm feeling of my bedroom, and I feel like these pieces add a lot.
So now we're in our guest room, and this space is really used for guests, obviously, but also Isla's sewing room. She's an amazing seamstress and loves to design clothing. So this space is used for that, which is great. We have a really beautiful screen-printed Galbraith and Paul wallpaper in here. And then we painted the ceiling a really buttery yellow. And one of my favorite details is this Schumacher trim on the drapery.
I love this room because there's a lot that goes on in here. We have lots of sleepovers, lots of sewing happens. I do a lot of homework in this space. I love it. It feels so cozy and warm and lovely.
When people step inside our home, I want them to feel comfortable and like they want to stay for a long time. We love to entertain, and I'm never happier when there's like our house is full of people, and so it's really important to us to be able to have people just put their feet up and be casual and make a mess and feel like it's their place.
Yeah, definitely. To come in and have fun. What does the word home mean to me? It means, I mean, of course, a house and where you live your life and, you know, you're based, but I would say home to me is like that feeling of like being like out from the world and like into your family and yourself.
Yeah, and I would say home for me is where, you know, where our family is and where all of our loved ones are, and it's our soft place.
Thanks, Homeworthy. It was so great spending time with you.
Till next time, bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.